And welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Knowledge. Listen, if any of you guys just tuned into the last live, that was my fault. Totally messed that up. But right now, you should be able to see our guest, Mr. Basic Trainer, on the screen. But what I said last live was now officially, Basic Trainer has been on this channel more than anyone else, with the exception of the podcast with Rattle and Ryan. Basic has now been the #1 guest on my channel. He's one of my favorite people to talk to. I'm going to do it 3 times during this video, once in the beginning, once in the middle, and once at the end. Listen, in the description of this video, and after this video is over, I'm going to pin a comment. It's going to be a link to Basic Trainer's channel. Right now, he's sitting at around 330 subscribers. In the next 7 days, I would like to get this man to 1,000 subscribers. Please, let's try to make this happen. Basic's one of my favorite people. But with that said, Basic, one of the crazy things that's happened recently, and I know you're a big MetaZoo guy, but recently there's been a huge dump of MetaZoo product that hit the market. Do you want to tell everybody a little bit of like that backstory?
Yeah, so like I was saying, again, there's what, 5 sets, and then native will be the 6 releasing next week. But essentially what happened, they're fire selling the 2 most overprinted products, and that's Krypton Nation second edition, and that's Wilderness. Every set has a 50K print, but Krypton Nation has the second edition 50K print, and then has the first edition 25K. And you have the Kickstarter as well, which is an asterisk next to it, but players like their expensive cards, so they prefer first edition, they prefer Kickstarter. Commons and uncommons, they prefer those over second edition, so it makes sense. Wilderness, there's 100K print. It's a 100K print run for the booster box. So 25K is overprinting right now, in my opinion, for MetaZoo.
For MetaZoo, for
For
Pokemon,
MetaZoo.
25K would be $30,000 booster boxes.
So Wilderness, there's just a ton of it, but at $40, to me, Wilderness is also the most fun to open because you have a ton of chase cards. You have the 1 of 100 stamp, the Green Man, only 100 copies. You have the
How many of
golden
those have been
ticket,
pulled that you know of?
16 the last time I checked. So, and then you have your golden ticket, bronze, silver ticket, along with the playable card, the most playable card in the game right now, Prism. So for it to be at $40, it doesn't make sense. But again, it makes sense because it's a 100K print run.
Yeah, but I mean, I just think it's fascinating to watch a booster box continue to go down. I just don't think it's like a strong market right now, but we'll see what happens. We'll see if they're able to recover.
I mean, that definitely could be the case, but it's 100K. I mean, I just mentioned if they were to print 25K of the next set, 25K is a lot. There's enough to go around for the collector, for the player, and the investor. But
Yeah.
they're printing 50K, let alone the 100K that they went with Wilderness. So there's a ton of it. There's a ton left over.
How many booster boxes, if you have the like, this is total speculation, you got to pull out your ass kind of thing, but how many booster boxes of each Pokemon set do you think they print, especially for modern? If you had to just take a guess.
Oh, Jesus. A million.
You think it's a million?
English, a million, yes.
Maybe. I'm trying to think of like, what's the hit, right? So a hit would be like, I think about like Evolving Skies or something. We have over 5,000 Moonbryons graded, but that's through all products, right? So 5,000 graded, probably 5% of that population gets graded, maybe more, maybe who knows? Let's just say 30% of that population gets graded. So that means that there could be like 30,000 Moonbryons to 30 to 50,000 Moonbryons exist. And then that's about 1 per case. So that's 1 out of every 6 booster boxes, but you got to add in all those auxiliary products. Like, yeah, if you could have 30,000 Moonbryons, 1 out of 7, I don't know. It could be maybe not a million, but there's a freaking lot.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, and I feel like this is my unbiased opinion when I say that MetaZoo's growing slowly, but surely it's growing. Like literally, I've seen it grow
Is it
way.
growing though? Growing, like continuing to grow, like getting bigger? Are you sure? I think you're just too deep into it, Basic.
So, well, again, as a person, as a player, as a collector that follows the circus, they just get bigger and bigger and bigger as far as the fan base, as far as the amount of people that I see. It seems like every time I go to a different location, it's just more and more people that I've never seen, I've never known before. And that's kind of how I'm gauging it. So again, I feel like that's why I'm calling it my unbiased opinion, because I'm just basing it what I'm seeing. But yeah, it could have been people that they've been there all along and they're just showing up now. But that's kind of how I'm basing it now. And on top of that, the people that signed up for competitive play. It started out with 100 and a couple hundred, and then when they released the water towers, they themselves were only logistically set up for 150. Over 500 signed up. So once they realized that was the case, they pretty much said for every tower, there's not going to be a cap, and whoever shows up, shows up.
So Card Shop Live was the one that dumped all those booster boxes. Now, when it wasn't MetaZoo that it happened to, but it was Flesh and Blood. That was Channel Fireball did that, right? That big dump.
So yeah, Card Shop Live bought the one that you mentioned,
Channel Fireball. I'm
Channel
not sure.
Fireball.
I know it's like they're all interchanged, but I just don't know how it works. Who owns what? I'm not sure.
Yeah, and then something like TCG Player bought Card Shop Live, and it's still under Card Shop Live, but yeah, that
So
was the
TCG
case.
Player bought Card Shop Live. Card Shop Live potentially had bought Channel Fireball, and then they're all because I just find it amazing how one person with a ton of product, like the effects they could have on the market. And I think about Pokemon, and I think about the really big sellers, and the really big sellers are like your eBay, P Football Pete. But I think maybe 1,000,000 booster boxes is too much per set, but it's greater than 100,000. If MetaZoo's printing 100,000, we can say Pokemon's definitely printing over 100,000 booster boxes. But I'm trying to think like what percentage of the print run is like a P football Pete moving through? Because if he's selling between 3 to 4,000 cases or three to 4,000 booster boxes per set, because I think right now on Scarlet and Violet, I think the last time I looked, he was at like right around 3,000 booster boxes sold. I'm sure that number's increased since the last time I watched it, but 3,000, is he selling like a 0.5% of the entire print run? I mean, you talk about like a guy like Dan Catchmall Collectibles for MetaZoo. I think at one point, one of the sets he had 5% of the print run, and that's one guy. I don't think you can do that in Pokemon. I mean, I could be wrong, but I doubt they're funneling 5% of the entire print run to a guy like P Football Pete.
I mean, Dan himself is doing 1%.
Of MetaZoo.
MetaZoo, right?
But not Pokemon. I'm saying,
not
can
Pokemon,
anybody
no.
do that with Pokemon? Like
5% of Pokemon would be crazy if P Football, would get. Yeah, that's a crazy number for him to get.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen the videos and stuff and the photos of the Pokemon warehouse, and you look at it and like, that's a lot of stuff, but it's a lot of products. And I mean, you think about every single LGS through the country, every single online retailer, every single, mom and pop, just you name it. Like, even if everybody gets a case or 2 cases, I just think where most of that product is honestly going is just to your Walmarts and your Targets, and that's not really the booster boxes, though. That's your single packs, your check lane blisters, your 3-pack blisters, ETBs, stuff like that. So
what does SV look like today? It's been how many days, a week, whatever, since the release. How does it look like? Does it seem overprinted? Does it seem like it's scarce? Because right before SV, there was this whole booster box scarcity, right? And there was rumors about that. I don't know who started this. Maybe someone under my channel said this, maybe me, but that Pokemon was doing a booster box buyback program, where because there was just not enough booster boxes to go around. So is that not the case for SV?
I mean, right now it seems like there is a supply. The only problem is we're running into this really weird timeline because I think a lot of people coming out of 2020, and I'm sure you were probably in the same boat. We are all like, printers are going to catch up. Pokemon will eventually start printing to meet demand like they had the entire history of this hobby, with the exception of Remove Yourself from 99. And I always talk about this. Scott Pratt talks about this story all the time. There were some sports sets that didn't get printed in 1999 because all that printer allocation was going just to Pokemon. They weren't even printing certain sports sets. And there's old photos of literally like airplane hangars full of base set booster boxes. Hangars, like you think of how big a hangar is, and just full of base set booster boxes. And that's why still to the day, basic, you're probably your base set booster box in right next to you. Like the reason why all those exist. But when it comes to modern, we understood 2020 made sense, right? Like in March of 2020, all non-essential businesses shut down for months. And Millennium Print Group was one of those companies. Millennium Print Group literally shut down because they were a non-essential company. So printers aren't printed, no cards are being printed. It makes sense that supply went down. Like, that makes sense. I don't think anybody out there is like, oh, that doesn't make sense. If the printers aren't printing, there still should be a lot of cards. Like, no, everybody's in agreement on that. But then when printers turned back on, and then Pokemon bought Millennium Print Group and did all these acquisitions, you would say, okay, that will never happen again. But here we are. And Scarlet and Violet was one of those weird sets where I've heard Scarlet and Violet is, first of all, a base set. So base sets should get printed more than anything else because base sets do a lot of things. One, it starts a new generation. Number two, it starts all the playable cards of that generation. A lot of stuff usually goes out of rotation. Like Scarlet and Violet's bringing a lot of new mechanics into the game, a lot of new playable cards. Like base sets change up the entire, EX cards. What are those going to do for playable format? Like it changes everything. So base sets should get printed a lot, like because you need it to. But then hearing people who have distribution saying that their allocations got cut from Scarlet and Violet versus what they got for Silver Tempest or what they got for Lost Origin, I'm like, what? What do you mean allocations got cut? How is that even possible? So it's weird.
So it kind of doesn't make sense to me. Why are you saying that it should be reprinted because it's base set? I
So
guess
base sets get printed a lot because of the change of the format and everything, and playable cards, and
so. Is it just more because it's introductory and that's just a
usually,
yeah, okay.
yeah.
But not because of playability per se, is it?
I think that has a huge part to do with it.
Okay.
I don't think that's the end all be all, but I think it has a huge part. And you look at Sword and Shield base. When you think about what's like the most readily available set, if you really wanted to, at the cheapest price, with the exception of booster boxes, the booster boxes are kind of like this weird thing, right? But when you look at individual pack prices, Sword and Shield base has always been like cheap in comparative to like all surrounding sets. When you look at Sword and Shield base and just look at the set right before Sword and Shield base was Cosmic Eclipse. That's a super expensive pack. Yeah, we saw reprints in the Arceus collection box and the Pokeball tins and things like that, but you got Sword and Shield base readily available. You could probably go on most websites, pick up single packs for probably around $5, $5 to $6. The set before Sword and Shield base, Cosmic Eclipse. The one before that, Unified Minds. Before that, Unbroken Bonds. Before that, Team Up. You look at that Team Up, Unbroken Bonds, Unified Mind, Cosmic Eclipse. What's the difference of those four sets versus Sword and Shield? Sword and Shield, massively printed, and then especially like even ETBs. Like one of the things people were saying when the hype was going on was Pokemon usually doesn't reprint ETBs. That was like one of the arguments people made. And the first ETB that got reprinted was Sword and Shield base. And we know that because even the wrapping on the booster box itself, the first print run had the Pokeball, like from your booster boxes, like the Pokeball that scratches off. It had that cellophane wrap on it. And the later print runs were clear. That was the very first ETB that got reprinted. Then after that got reprinted, like Sun and Moon base got reprinted, and then after Sun and Moon base got reprinted, Darkness Ablaze, Vivid Voltage, a lot of these, and then it crushed prices for those.
Yeah. I guess that makes sense because I guess the only thing that I've seen around right when it comes to SV base, it's that one, prices are going down and pull rates are extremely high. Maybe that's what's driving the market down a little bit on it. And initially, Mason, shout out Cardinal Gaming, he put out this, I think it was on Discord. He pretty much compared the pull rates on Evolving Skies versus SV, and I mean, huge difference, crazy difference, right? 4x to 6x on some of these cards. So
yeah,
it makes sense.
I was talking print runs, not pull rates, but yeah.
Right. So, but sticking to the print runs though, Evolving Skies wasn't base, right? That was whatever it was in the thing. So if EV is SV is the base, I think you're right. They're targeting the players as introductory to everyone. are they more or less willing to take that? Yep, these boxes are going to go down. This market's going to go down. Pokemon doesn't really care what happens in the secondary market. This is just the game plan every single time. And I guess what I'm saying is, has this always been the case? You kind of explained this always has been the case from the very beginning, that base will always be overprinted compared to the next sets forward.
Usually, I mean,
Yeah.
and so first of all, like Evolving Skies is Sword and Shield 8. So you got Sword and Shield base, Rebel Clash, Darkness Ablaze, Vivid Voltage, Battle Styles, Chill and Rain, and then Evolving Skies. Oh, I'm sorry, it's SV7. Unless I don't think I missed one in between. So it's SV7. Wait, not SV. That's Scarlet and Violet. Sword and Shield 7. Oh my god, all these names of sets are like starting to mess with my brain. I made a live the other day, basic, and I was talking about Scarlet and Violet base, and I kept saying Sword and Shield base, like interchangeably in the same sentence. It was terrible. But going back to your question, talking about base sets, yeah, when you think about sets that are most readily available, like with the exception of maybe XY base was available for a while at the beginning, but really wasn't available later. But so XY base packs were in a ton of collection boxes for all those early sets, though. And then fast forward or rewind before that, black and white base was definitely one of the most like heavily printed of all the black and white base sets. And especially when you look at collection boxes and stuff like that, black and white base, merge and powers, those really got big print runs. Like the ones that were super small print runs were definitely like Dark Explorers. Dark Explorers was a very playable set. Like I got some of this information from Squeaks because I wasn't really paying attention to the sealed product in during black and white base, but he talks about like Dark Explorers being a relatively small print run. Same thing with like Dragons Exalted. Those had very small print runs. But then moving to the end of black and white, like these products were printed heavily. Yeah. Plasma Storm, Plasma Freeze, but the one that was printed probably more than any of the black and white sets was Plasma Blast. Plasma Blast was in products forever. People were tired of Plasma Blast, but then like Legendary Treasures, stuff like that.
And I guess
that was in a lot of
ultimately,
products.
and I guess ultimately this is the knowledge that I'm gathering, because this would be news for me as far as the concept goes, not realizing this whole time that's what they were doing. As people are freaking out about pull rates, right? 300 versus 1500, 1900 on some of these other cards. Maybe that's specific to base, and it's always been the case going back. And the next base for the next block will be the same story, where the pull rates are easier to get because they're targeting the players, they're targeting just getting everyone familiar with the new gameplay. And that's why the pull rates are what they are, because they want people to pull these, right? They want to get them familiar. As you go forward, those pull rates are going to get harder and harder. Maybe the print runs go lower.
You would think. I don't know. Real quick, Hernan Jose Santos says, "Hey PK, it's his birthday. Well, happy birthday, man." He says he's opening a Lolan Raichu trainer kit. Lolan Raichu. Shout out to everybody's favorite Sun and Moon set, Crimson Invasion. But yeah, basic. I don't know. And then I want to ask your opinion too. And this is one of those speculative conversations nobody has an answer to either. Is do first print runs of sets have better pull rates than later like print runs of sets? Rattle's a hard believer that print runs or chase pull rates don't change, but do you think they change from first print waves to later ones? The only one that I'm kind of on the fence about is Hidden Fates. Hidden Fates, when I opened the first wave of Hidden Fates, had really good pull rates. The later waves didn't have the same pull rates, but that can be like super subjective because I'm opening a very small amount of that, right? So, but like from the way I feel, Hidden Fate's first print waves had better pull rates.
The first one.
The first print run, yeah.
I kind of, if you didn't mention that information, if you gave me the question first and I would have answered it the other way, where I feel like the second waves get the better pull rates, because I mean, if we're talking tinfoil, I feel like they're looking at the markets, they're seeing what's moving. They need X cards to be playable. They need X cards in players' hands. And so I don't think Pokemon likes it when their players are having to spend a lot of money for these cards. And so they print more of X card because to screw the investor, to screw the flipper, to screw, whatever, because they need their player base to get healthy go healthy prices for all of these cards. That's what I would have said originally. But now hearing you, I mean, but again, this is all speculative. This is all
I
speculative.
like that answer too. I love the fact that I was thinking first print runs are better, and you're like, yeah, second. So I don't really know, and it could honestly be the fact that they just don't change print runs, or not print runs, pull rates, I should say.
Because I do remember, this is going way back to I'm skipping on the name already, but what was the first card that everyone was stonking on because of its playability? Roaring Skies,
The Shaman
Shaman,
EX.
Shaman EX. And I feel like after the second print, the reprints, I should say, not the second wave, it was the reprints because of the crazy prices on Shaman. That Shaman all of a sudden the pull rate was a lot higher. And I would remember watching all of these channels.
Yeah,
And at
but
that point,
that Shaman got reprinted in a collection box too.
that's
it was
true.
super playable. It did end up getting a reprint in a
But
collection box.
that was way after. I'm talking about the original Roaring Skies reprint.
Yeah, I
And
think. Yeah.
yeah, and from that standpoint, I just remember at that point I was very into a lot of the TCG channels that were, somebody just vlogging their TCG experience at their local shop. And there was this craze about Shaman, $300, $400, $500, and very rare. You can't find them anywhere. Players need them, and then all of a sudden they get the reprint, and there's tons to go around.
Yeah.
All of a, and it wasn't just because they just reprinted it. It was because the pull rates were a lot better to pull these guys. And so that's why I'm basing it on, like, I think these companies, I do believe they don't care about the secondary market, but they do care about their player base.
Possible.
That's the one thing I'll say.
Yeah, maybe. Honestly, though, basic, I don't know. Like, it's all speculative. And we would never get like a true answer from Pokemon. And who is it? I want to say it's Dan Catchmall Collectibles talks about it all the time. Like, how are there all these people that work at Millennium Print Group, and how does nobody have like an in yet? You think about how much money is thrown out in this hobby, like speculation. I mean, right now we got 98 people watching this live. Out of those 98 people, if you added the 98 people watching this and added up the value of every single collection in there, and then you look at the live at the end, it's going to have like between 1 to 2,000 views, and you add up all those people's collection and how many hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars worth of product that is, and you're telling me nobody knows what's getting printed? It's like, I don't know. When you start talking about that kind of money, like, you think about insider trading and stuff for the stock market, and like, people seal product right now. If you were able to get that leg up and you really knew what was being reprinted, and you could just dump into the market all the time and, like, sell highs, buy lows, stuff like that, you would have a huge leg up. So the fact that, like, there's people that must know, right? Can we disagree that
100%.
people know?
100%. But if you think in terms of a factory, right? You look at an assembly line. Now picture the printing facilities. People are not seeing or people pretty much only see the workers, the employees pretty much only see the finished product, or towards the end of the finished product. There's only and yes, when you factor it in times whatever, many printing facilities, you're probably talking about 100 and change, but that's still a lot of people to keep a secret. But people aren't really seeing that, oh, there's 50 shamans on this one sheet alone, or there's one shaman per sheet, or so they're not able to see that, because that's part of the sequence.
Yeah, the automation and stuff. Yeah.
You're right, exactly. So I don't think they get to see that, so they don't even have that information. People do, obviously, but they're so higher up that it's easier for them to, keep that hush hush and not care about making a quick buck versus like the employee down the line.
So think about when you think back on your jobs and stuff, though. When you're working at a job, for the most part, there's not really like secrets at your job. Like, usually everything that's going on because there's no need. And we're not talking about like Millennium Print Group is the FBI or the CIA, and they need to compartmentalize like all these different divisions and make sure like there's no communication. We're talking about a printing company, the same printing company that probably also makes, like, I don't know, Clorox detergent bottle wraps, like stickers that go around your Clorox detergent bottles. Like, this is a printing facility. This isn't the CIA or the FBI. Like, I just find it hard to believe that they would compartmentalize that information and it wouldn't be readily available to like everyone. And I think about my job, like I have my job, I'm not gonna like talk about a lot of what we do, but we'd have like some big clients, military contracts like this, and like I know all the stuff that goes on. So why
Do you
wouldn't
tell?
that
Do
be the
you tell?
same at a printing facility?
Do you tell everyone though? Do you tell someone down the ladder what's going on? Maybe the next one down the ladder, but are you telling the guy at the very bottom of the ladder? So I have an example, right? So I'm a maintenance tech by trade. I deal with, once again, I've said it before, think of your Coca-Colas. That's pretty much what I'm dealing with. That's my experience. And so I would get a lot of calls to these machines. For X reason, they would need to speed up the machines, right? And so the manager, the supervisor would call up my manager, like, hey, we need to speed up this machine. What can we do? They would call me. I would come over. They would have this conversation with me. Speed it up 10%, 20%, 30%. Do not tell the people in line,
Oh, that's
right?
interesting.
So I mean, obviously, it doesn't benefit me to tell these guys, and then all of a sudden they find out, word goes around, and then I'm the one that gets screwed, right? There's no benefit to me
Mhm.
saying it. I'm at a higher up ladder, let's just say. I just turn it up, and sometimes they don't even notice, but I just turn it up and hush hush. Like, I'm not gonna tell everyone this because it doesn't benefit as you go up in the ladder and you have these secrets. It doesn't benefit you to tell the guys down on the ladder.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, though, all you need is to get somebody at the warehouse who drives the forklift. It's like, hey, you just spent all day on a forklift loading pallets. Can you just tell me what the side of the box said? Did it say like Evolving Skies booster boxes? Do not release before August 27th, 2001, or sorry, 2021. Is that what it said on the side? Like, what did that box you loaded all day? Like it, you know, I find it hard to believe. You can only keep secrets so much. And again, that's going back to like what's being printed and not just like seed rates and stuff. But it's interesting. Um, there's somebody I tried to reach out to in the past. I just wasn't really able to get them on. I tried to reach out to a few people from Wizard of the Coast, but one of the people from Wizard of the Coast that I tried reaching out to like knows print runs. Like that was her job. Was I forget her exact title. It was a she, so it probably narrows it down to a lot of people. But she knew exact print runs. Like she knew how much of this stuff was printed. Now, fast forward to today, would it really matter if Wizard of the Coast came out and told us print runs of Base Set Jungle, Fossil, Base Set 2, Team Rocket, Gyms, Neos, Legendary Collection, Expedition, Aquapolis, Skyridge? Like, does it matter at this point if they said like what print runs were? I would say no. Like, but it would be fascinating to
I
know
think
those.
I think the niches of the niches, to quote PK, the niches of the niches will grab that number, and we're gonna have a whole month's worth of freaking content
A
if we
month?
were to.
Talk about that shit for the next decade. If I knew the print runs of like Skyridge versus Aquapolis versus Expedition versus all the way to base set, like I that would be a
Yeah,
fun conversation.
there's a reason why they don't share those numbers, and I know for a fact it's gonna get to a point. Even if those print runs stay the same, MetaZoo's gonna do the same. They're just gonna go hush hush because they know how much that affects the print runs. If we didn't know that Wilderness was literally double versus any other set, they probably would still be able to sell it for $60, $70. But they're at 40 because everyone knows it's literally double printed heavily versus any other set.
Well, Pokemon did say like they printed 9 billion cards, but that's such a open number, right? First of all, 9 billion cards is a stupid amount of cards. Like if you were to stack cards on top of each other, that I think somebody like did the math. It like almost reaches the moon. Like just a freaking preposterous amount of cards. But you look at that 9 billion number, but then you have to start breaking it down and you end up just super speculating like how many of those 9 billion cards were just bricks of energies thrown in ETBs and stuff, How many of those were commons and uncommons and things that will stay at bulk rates between 1 to 3 cents for the next decade. Like how many of those cards are the Moonbryons? How many of those cards are the Charizard V from Brilliant Stars? Like those are the numbers people really care about. They don't care about how many energy cards were printed and how many ETBs have energy cards in it. So it's
Well,
impossible to.
here's another good speculation, right? And we have some numbers to play with, right? We have some numbers to work with. You have the Charizard promo. I forget the number. You guys are great with the numbers, but the one
Champions
that's graded
Path, like
50,000,
70,000 graded.
60,000. Um, we know the pops. We can see the pops in PSA, CGC, Beckett, what have you. How many would you say if we're able to gather that number today, right? And let's just call it a clean 100, right? There's 100 graded. How many are ungraded based on that number, and how many are still sealed based on that number? And then we can get something of an estimation as to how many ETBs get printed, right? Give or take. And I know they change from set to set for a fact, but not for a fact, but I don't think they're consistently, this set is going to be, a 250,000. The next set is going to be a 250,000. The next set is going to be a 250,000. I don't think they operate that way. They could, but yeah, if we have that number and we're calling it a clean 100K graded throughout all grading companies, how many would you say are raw, and how many are still sealed? To give you an estimation as to how many ETBs are printed from that set.
I think if Pokemon ever did just say, hey, by the way, this is how many Moonbryons were printed, I think that number would scare people. Yeah. Shout out to Pokemon Classic, says he's loving Basics Bulbasaur in the background. So this is going to be the second time this live I'm going to do this. Listen, guys, we have one goal for today's video. Within the next 7 days, I want to try to get Basic Trainer up to 1,000 subscribers. 1,000. The link to his channels in the description below. Basic Trainer has some epic lives. 12 hours. What's your longest live you've done so far?
12 hours, 12
12.
and minutes. Yeah.
You're a
Um,
maniac. That's
Once again, PK, I appreciate that. I appreciate the plug. Here's what people are going to do. They're going to go and run. They're going to go hit subscribe. They're going to go through the videos, and they're going to see 10 hours, 12 hours, 11 hours, 9 hours, 12 hours, and they're going to say unsubscribe.
they see the time and they're just like, nope. I'll tell you what, though, the people watching these videos, they most of the time like the longer form content. I mean, mine sit between an hour to 2 hours, maybe 8 to 12 is a little much for some people. But how can you do it anyways?
Shout out J Dub. Just subscribed. Shout out J Dub. What was the question, PK?
How are you able to do it? How are
The
you able to
long.
just keep just the 12-hour live? How do you do it? How do you mentally do it?
Well, just from the very base, I'm a yapper, bro. Like I'm a huge socializer. I'm not shy of talking. I'm very opinionated, and I just love talking. I don't care what it is. I can just debate the opposite just for the sake of argument, right? Just to be devil's advocate. I can just completely give you the opposite, but I just love talking. I just love having these conversations. Someone up there mentioned, if how long is this going to go, because PK is more of a half an hour to an hour and Basic's more of a 9 to 12 hours. Where's this going to go? And I believe Felipe said, well, give enough Bud Lights to PK and give enough tequilas to Basic, and it might be somewhere in the middle. So yeah, just from a talking standpoint, it's very easy. You mentioned it early on. It's like, hey man, sorry, I've got no topics, but you're good at that. And that's almost my favorite lane. It's just not having a topic. Let's just pull it out of our pockets and let's just go. From a physical standpoint, I've never prepared. And I must admit, those 10 to 12 hour lives, essentially all of them, I can feel it towards the end, but that's just because I was only preparing to go live for 2 hours. That's essentially always the case. I'm always prepared to just go 2 hours, shut it down, but I just don't know how to stop it. It's a problem. I don't know how to just say, hey guys, bye. It's that time. That 12 hours, I believe a couple of them, I would start at 9 and then, finish at 6, 7, a.m. to the point where people are go to sleep or fall asleep mid live. They wake up, they go on YouTube, they see my live, they think that it's like either replaying or something, and no, I'm still live. So
Yeah, I've literally gone to bed and woke up and saw you still live. And I'm like, oh, something happened. Basic left his camera on, you know? This is gonna be funny. And no, it's just you talking. I'm just like, what's going on?
and
But
Dan Catchball, shout out Dan, he called me out the other day. He says we're still waiting on the 24-hour live, and due to other hobbies within my belt, that's gotten in the way of that. But I definitely want to do a 24-hour live. Pull out some sort of a sign up sheet. Go ahead, guys, sign up whatever hour you guys want to sign up. You jump in the live, and I'm going to be prepared, right? It's going to start at a certain time so I can go all the 24 hours. There's going to be some just ripping throughout that 24-hour stream. I'm going to be have to eat in front of the camera. I'm going to be taking some 2-3 minute breaks during that time as well, and hopefully my guest at that time will help me out. But I definitely want to do it. I think it'll be fun. I'm not a stranger to staying up 24 hours just from like a, let's just call it Friday to Saturday. So I can definitely do it. It's just that every time I go live, I only prepare to go for about 2 hours, and it just ends up going way longer than it should be
bro, how
for
do
no reason whatsoever.
you just tell your wife? How do you just tell your wife? You're like, hey, by the way, I'm about to go talk about Pokemon for 24 hours. I'll see you tomorrow. Like, I'll see you this time tomorrow. See you later, you know?
Yeah, it's just one of those things where I'm all about what makes you genuinely happy. And yapping away makes me genuinely happy. Now there's people that love that, right? Just like there's people that love the long content, right? And people love that stuff where you just rant or go off you're just riffing, and people love that. And there's people that are like, I need my 10-minute video and that's it. Right. Because if it's any more than 10 minutes, I'm logging off mentally and I can't do it. So it's just a little bit of everything for everyone. And I just fit the description for those people that like content creators going live for 12 hours for no apparent reason, no good reason, and with no good topics other than just freaking talking.
So you just mentioned content creators. So you're very similar to me. I like to absorb a lot of content, and mainly I've talked about this on other lives. Like I have the ability at work where I could put my headphone in and listen to videos. Shout out to Pokemon Classics. Pokemon Classics has some of the best edited videos, but his are some of the hardest for me to watch because I have to actually look at the screen. I can't just listen to it the same way most people listen to like Pandora or Spotify at work. But you absorb a lot of different content, especially in the Pokemon space. Who are your go-to creators? If you had to like whittle it down to like maybe a top 5 or maybe top 10. I know top 5 might be hard.
I remember we were having this conversation maybe a year ago, and I mean across the the YouTube, the people in our circle, right? People that we just we tend to see day to day, talk to day to day, and we had this topic about your Mount Rushmore, your YouTubers, right? And to me, you've got your, call it pillars, right? You got your rippers, you've got your top 10, content creators, you've got your folks that just like to go and riff, for an hour or so and just touch anything. You've got your folks like yourself, who I feel like it's more on the news side, right? Whenever there's something new that day, boom, got to go live, got to spread the good word. For me, it's really all about, weirdly enough, because I don't do much of it. It's the market talk. It's the, flipping. It's the investing. It's that entire pocket. That's my go-to content. If you're just ripping packs, I'm sorry, but that's not for me, right? I'm not your demographic, and good for you, because that demographic there's more of, right? The
Oh
people
yeah.
that like to watch just people rip packs, there's more of them than there are of me that just like the long, style podcast or live streams or what have you. So for me, it's so again, let me start naming them. Obviously, PK, I don't know how long I've been subscribed to you, but I want
I want
to,
to say like 30 subscribers, maybe less. You subscribed.
where in the I don't know if we can say this word, so I'm not gonna say it, but the C word, where in the C word era were you in? You were way before that, right?
I don't know what C word. I can think of some words that start with a C, but
I just remember that this certain virus, pretty much if you said
yeah.
it, then you
Before
were not, your monetization went away or whatever. But
I was,
I just remember I was already deep into, Pokemon knowledge during this era. And
yeah,
so Jake is another, you, PK, PK, Jake, SM Pratt. I'm trying to think. Obviously, Jetman Pokemon, even though he went away for a little bit, Jetman Pokemon honestly was the first person I found going back in, along with Primetime Pokemon. But Primetime Pokemon was more of a ripper. Gem Mint was more of a let's rip to grade, and that was fascinating to me because that's how I found slabs.
yeah.
Um, and so, but today easily, if you look at my subscriptions, the only rippers that I'm subscribed to, it's PokeRev and TCA. PokeRev, obviously, that entertainer is just a very unique entertainer, right? Very, very animated without the extra unneeded animation. If that makes any sense.
He's
But
figured
it's
it
cool.
out.
It's cool entertainment. Rusty,
Yeah.
it's like no animation whatsoever, no energy, but it works, right? It works and it works for him. And then on top of that, a ton of knowledge. As he goes along, as he's ripping all these vintage packs, he's throwing knowledge out there. He's giving people more than just ripping. And so those are the
So
only two rippers
So
that I'm sub to.
speaking of Rusty ripping packs, I was in one of his lives and somebody was talking and they said something that I thought was like a hot take by somebody to say. They were like, Rusty, it appears like you've lost a little bit of like your excitement opening packs. And it was like the same stream he opened up the no stage Blastoise. Rusty was like super happy, super animated about that, which is awesome. It was the first time I'd ever seen it pulled on stream. I guess there was like Pokey Chloe pulled one. I didn't even know. But anyway, somebody in his chat was like, "Yeah, Rusty, like you're not excited to open up packs like you used to be." And when they said used to be, in my head, I was like, "Have you ever seen the video of Rusty pulling his first edition Charizard? He goes like this in the pack. He's pulling cards and he's like, "Oh, look at that. A Charizard." So for anybody who says he used to be like super animated, I'm like, "Oh no, no, no." I remember Rusty opening up Charizard first editions and going, "Oh, look, a Charizard," So I thought that was pretty funny because he's never been animated though, but he's
So
one of the true legends though. And you think
yeah,
about, I mean, and he has a lot of shorts too where he's open old pulls. Like one of them's his Crystal Charizard when he pulled that hollow. He's like, "Oh, nice, a Crystal Charizard." It's just great watching like his reactions for all these like most of these cards very few people in this entire hobby in their history of their life will ever pull a first edition Charizard, and then other people will never pull a Sky Ridge Crystal, or so a first edition Charizard, and then other people will never pull a Crystal Charizard. Rusty's pulled both of them, and both like relatively non-animated reactions. It's pretty funny when you think back on it.
and
But he's
before I
one of
continue
the
with
like OGs.
Before I continue with that, I just want to shout out Tanya, Elijah, and Jacoby for subscribing. If you're subscribed and I haven't mentioned your name, hopefully it pops up here. But thank you. Then again, thank you, PK. But dude, Rusty is, I'm gonna say, lack of enthusiasm, but I know it's not lack of enthusiasm. He just doesn't show it. I'm pretty sure it's in there, right? He just doesn't know how to really show it physically, right? And it's hilarious because even myself, I don't consider myself that if I'm ripping, I'm not going to be this, oh my God, we just pulled X. Going back to Leonhart, I pulled the base set. It's my only base set Charizard that I've ever pulled in my life.
You did it in front of like
And I just couldn't believe
10,000
it.
people watching.
Right. And I just couldn't believe it. Right. And it was just more or less like I actually didn't know how to react. It was an out of body and it was just whatever. But pulling his first, you said it was his first, right? First edition
It's the
Charizard?
first, yeah. So he pulled the first edition Zard, pulled the Crystal Charizard, but these are older. Like these go back years.
Right. But the fact that it's his first and he still is very consistent as far as his reactions, like that's awesome. That's a gem.
Yeah, but
That's
that
a
no
gem.
stage Blastoise, he was excited about. That was actually like, it felt good to see him super excited. But Josef Hoffman said, "So Rusty's the real Poke knowledge?" Yes. Rusty has forgotten more Pokemon information than I will ever know. And that's just what he's forgotten. Like the amount of information Rusty has acquired, because Rusty goes back to when the information wasn't readily available, right? Like I showed this on the last live, and somebody mentioned this. Hold on. So I had on my last live, I mentioned the Silver Bible, and somebody in the comments said, "PK, what's the Silver Bible?" It's like, this is the Silver Bible. This was from Japan, 2000. It was like how people saw a lot of cards for the first time. Like there's trophy cards in here and stuff, and you know, snap cards, stuff like that. Were the first time people ever even like saw some of these cards. Like I'll show you. Like these pages probably stick out to a lot of people. You know, you got Tropical Mega Battle, Super Secret Battle, and then, you know, your 1, 2, 3. Like these pages stick out to people, and it was because of this magazine. And a lot of people have this magazine. The only problem is it's in Japanese. But there was a lot of people translated a lot of this stuff. But some of this stuff was the only time people had ever seen it, you know?
Did you buy that pre or post SM Pratt announcement?
I learned about this because of Scott Pratt, yeah, and it was right around when he talked about it, yeah.
Yeah. It's
So
the
yeah,
power of the
I didn't own
influencer.
this before Scott talked about it. No, to answer your question.
How much are they going for today?
Today, I mean mine's super beat up. This isn't a new one. This has been flipped through 100 times. Probably right now I would say like a used copy, maybe $100 ish,
Okay,
probably.
that's not bad.
I don't know what a sealed one. I mean, why would you buy it sealed? That doesn't make sense. That's not a something you keep sealed.
Yeah, that's something that I would definitely want to go and buy. And for transparency, when SM Pratt mentioned it, I had no clue this thing existed. And yes, I wanted it because of him. Now, I didn't get influenced to buy. It was just like, whoa, this is a cool item. Let me go check it out. But by that time, it was too late. Freaking, because I probably watched that video hours later, just based on my schedule. I watched that hours later, and by the time I went on eBay trying to find one, trying to source one, there were already all taken. They were all snatched up.
Yeah.
I remember $200-300, I think it was, and it's, to me, as a person that had bought magazines before or books or Pokemon books, what have you, that just seemed a little steep. So it's just that price memory thing. And so, I mean, if I could catch one for $100 today, I'll definitely pick it up for $100 and go through it. I haven't gone through one myself, so that'd be awesome to
Yeah.
just look at history that way.
Yeah. No, next time maybe I'll bring. I'm sure Rusty probably has one. But so you got a big collector con coming up pretty soon in Dallas, right? And that's not too far from you. Are you going to be vending?
No, not vending. And to be honest, not 100% sure that I'll be there, but I mean, I'm in San Antonio. Like, how does that, how
Yeah.
do I not go? That's the easiest one to go to. And obviously there's the one in Houston as well. But I mean, crap, you don't have to sell me on Collecticons. I love Collecticons. I went to the very first one, and the ones that I've always skipped has been Charlotte and Kansas City. Every other one I've always made, and then with the exception of Orlando, this last Orlando. But Collecticons are awesome. You've obviously been to once
Denver. Yep, Denver.
Denver, right? That was the only one.
Only one,
But
yeah.
just based on that experience, you already know how freaking crazy these
Oh,
Collecticons get.
yeah, super fun. Like, but I know you vended one. You vended Long Beach, I think, right? Now, so for anybody out there who doesn't really know Basic, he is not like a flipper by any aspect. Was always just like pure collector. Didn't even grade cards. Knew. I mean, Basic knows about grading more than anybody, but never graded cards, stuff like this. And then he went to Long Beach. I know you brought a bunch of good cards. You sold through. I forget. You told me the number. Like you brought like 500 graded cards. I think you came home with how many?
It was almost 600 cards, and I came back with maybe 15. It was
Yeah,
under 20 for
so
sure.
you
It was under
sold
20.
like 585 cards,
Yeah.
but then you started like wanting to get your flippers license.
I'm attempting to get my flippers license as we speak, and just
How's
just
that been
dabbling with
going for you?
plays. Say again.
How's that been going for you? Has it been starting to open up the new world for you?
I mean,
And
overall it's been a net positive. I mean, I'm sure there's cases where they're losing money, right, on every single play, on every single grade, but I think it's a little hard to do at the same time to lose money grading. But you can definitely do it if you're doing it the wrong way. But so far, it's just because I go to all these shows. I've had the experience, never grading and flipping as much, but just being in the hobby for since 2012 and looking at slabs, looking at the condition of these slabs for all these years. I've already known okay, this is what an 8 looks like. This is what a 9 looks like. This is what a 10 looks like. So now getting into it as a person that always reached into his wallet to be able to buy into his PC, now it's fun reaching into my wallet to flip. And now that's grown X, and now I turned X into PC. So essentially, I'm still doing the same thing, but the only thing is I'm multiplying it before I turning it into PC.
but you're still so now you're acquiring all these cards, but has it changed the way you're buying? Because you're always buying with the sole purpose of it being your collection. Now if you're buying to flip, you got to buy with the purpose of what do other people want, because people don't always want what you want, right? So has that changed your thought process though?
Oh yeah, for sure. So, when it comes to flipping, it's you have your, I mean, for
And
example,
define and
I have
basic.
it right up here. One of
I
my
want you,
best plays so far is catching this guy in a local show.
yeah, from the Tyranitar from Aquapolis, yeah.
And I
Well,
saw
that's
it,
win from the
and
sea,
this
but
is not something that I would buy for my own. This is not something that I would want to collect, but I caught it. It was already at the right price as far as the asking price. I was able to bring it down another $20, brought it down to like $75, $80, comped it before I pulled the trigger, and essentially after grading and all, under $100, and this thing goes for about 800. But something like this, I just know that when I see it, even though I would not be the buyer for this, I know that there's definitely a buyer pool for this card,
Mhm.
though it's smaller. Now, if you're talking about something like, I don't know, these couple cards here, something that's modern, right? Now
Yeah.
you've got your Pikachu, and people just love Pikachu, right? That's a no-brainer. And as a UPK, you don't like that word, that phrase, no-brainer, but Pikachu is a no-brainer play. Gengar is another no-brainer play
Yeah.
because you have your fan favorites, you have your species collectors, and so these are the types of things that in modern, yeah, they're easy plays. And of course, let's mention obviously Charizard. Let's mention other Pokemon like Mewtwo, characters like that. Um, yeah, 100%. You had to dive into what the masses want because one, you limit your risk that way. If you buy into what people want, you limit your risk, but it also comes down to your price point. Um, Really, the variables to the equation is long, and there's so many breakdowns to the equation for how you should flip. But 100% to answer your question, the mentality does change because for flipping, it's buying more into the larger pool. Something like T-Tar, it's again using the phrase that you don't like, no brainer. It's a no-brainer. You're going to find a buyer pool. I said worst case scenario, it's going to get a 9. PSA doesn't hand out 10s for these vintage cards, but I figured it looked good and I pre-graded at a 10, but I prepared myself for a 9.
Yeah.
And I'm just shout out PSA. They gave me the 10. I'm not gonna hate them for it.
So I don't know if you got a chance to watch my last live, but I tried to define a flipper. How would you define what is a flipper? Because I couldn't do it. I tried to do it, but then I kept running into too many roadblocks.
I was there. I was there. I was watching. I just couldn't comment. I was doing way too many things, but I thought I was commenting at the very beginning. But anyway, I definitely saw you going into these loops and you're trying to define it, and then you were like catch yourself. And forget the nuances, forget like how extreme the window is and the spectrum. Flipper. You buy something at X, you sell it for Y, where Y is more than X. That's a flipper to me. And in the sequence of grading, I mean, you have to equate now buying the raw, you have to pay for the grading, you have to pay for the insurance and the shipping and all that good stuff. But when you get it back and you flip it, you're flipping it for more than what you have into it. So that to me, just cutting it very cut and dry, you're selling it for more than what you bought into it.
So that means timelines could be huge. You could
Oh,
buy a
okay.
booster box at MSRP and sell it 7-10 years down the line. That makes you a flipper.
So great. That's a great point. To me, 60 days.
60-day timeline, bro.
60 days.
No what?
60 days.
You don't even get graded card submissions back within 60 days. So you're telling me
talking about 2020. You're talking about the asterisk of the hobby. You're talking about the exceptional timeline of the hobby. You're talking about a very specific era. You're not talking about the entirety of the hobby.
Listen, I was with you until you said 60 days. 60
well, hold
days.
on. Are you saying? Hold on. Are you saying that we're gonna go back to 18 months? It took my sub that I sent.
I'm just saying, to be a flipper, you have to flip like within 60 days. You could flip way past. If you're a good flipper, you're speculating on stuff too, trying to buy the undervalued stuff, waiting for markets to.
I see what you're saying, because if you send off to grade today, or you bought it last week and then you send off to grade and then you got to wait a month and a half, you only got a 2-week window to flip it. Okay, let's add I can see why you caught yourself a lot. Let's add the caveat of when you have the item ready to sell. When you have the item in your hand ready to sell, to me, you have 60 days. If you got to wait longer than 60 days, you either have the wrong item, it's too niche, it's too, your buyer pool is too limited, you're not getting it to the eyes of this buyer pool, what have you, or people just don't want it anymore. But to me, it's 60 days. If you got to wait longer than 60 days, it's no longer a flip. Now you're sitting on it. 60 days already feels like an eternity when you have it in your hand, you list it, and you wait 60 days to sell. That's an eternity.
So, all right. So then you start talking, what's the difference? When do you become a speculator? Because a lot of plays I'm doing is just speculating. Like
a speculator is when you're not buying Gengar, but you're buying Weedle. Because Weedle has the coolest art it's ever had. And so you're speculating that because of this one fact, that it's the coolest art arbitrarily, it's the coolest art ever on Weedle, that's why people are gonna love this, right? Okay, here's a speculation for you, right? I'm gonna give up the sauce right here, right now. Pokemon 151. Pokemon 151. Of course, you're gonna have, name them. You got 1 through 151. You've got your Pikas, your Charizards. You've got your Mewtwo's, your Mews. You got your Blastoise. You got your Bulbas for the Bulba lovers. You got all of the above. But who's the one guy that we haven't seen for a long time that just psychologically people are going to want this card, this one Pokemon, more than ever because it hasn't been seen in a long time? Kadabra. That to me is speculation, but it's also a, here we go again, alert, no-brainer. Because people are going to want that Kadabra. It's the first Kadabra since whatever the last, what was the last set, PK, that Kadabra came out in?
Skyridge.
Skyridge. The first Kadabra since Skyridge.
One of the later ones. That's Expedition, though. That's not Skyridge.
Shout out Hernan Santos. He just subbed. But yeah, that to me is speculation, because while we may think, and everyone in the chat may think or may disagree, but it's a safe bet that people are going to want Kadabra. You pull it, you buy them, you grade them, you sell them. People are going to want Kadabra. This is the first one since Skyridge. But also, what's guaranteeing that people are going to want Kadabra? So that to me is what speculates. Pikachu's, that to me is not a speculation. There's a ton of Pikachu collectors, including myself, that if you grade it in a 10, if you grade it in a 9, people want them. People want Pikachus in 9s and 10s. People want Charizards in 9s and 10s. Kadabra, That one's different. That was like, it's going to be the first test and we'll see what happens. Maybe from here on out, every Kadabra that gets printed, everyone's going to want it. Classic says I'm correct. So if Classic says I'm correct, I mean, you really can't argue against, with Classic. So there you go.
I'm trying to find the last Kadabra.
I graded a couple, and again, I sent off that 500 plus. It was like 500. It was actually like 490. I sent off back in 2020 of December when CNG Emporium made the whole market panic, and he said, if you don't send off now, we're gonna raise our prices by $3, and then you're not gonna get them back anytime soon. And so everyone graded in December. Shout out CNG Emporium. Shout out James and Cam. Yeah, I sent off in 2020. I didn't get them for like another 18 months, and it worked out at the end. But yeah, it's one of those. It's just it's going to be one of those things. It's going to be one of those things where people are going to be selling off. If people thought that I'm giving up the sauce now, everyone's already thinking it. Everyone's already thinking it.
Yeah, so I couldn't find the last Kadabra. I have a couple of them, but I just couldn't find them. Let me ask you a question. This got brought up a few times. Should I not show cards on my channel? Because some people were making comments that was saying, like, I need to stop showing cards. How do you feel about that?
And so I remember going back to when you had me on once again. It was about a month ago. Why did they make that comment?
There was a couple things they said. They were like, one, they were saying I was showing off was the first one. And then like trying to flex my collection. And then another one was like, because during our podcast we're always showing stuff off. And then people were like, oh, PK has this little collection. He's trying to just like flex in front of the big guys, stuff like this, which I took as like, okay, if people don't want me to show off cards, I won't. But then other people were like, no, show off cards. And the crazy thing is you remember, you obviously, where my old setup was, like in the other room, no background. People kept messaging me and being like, PK, show off your collection. So I was like, okay. I bought a desk, got an office chair, built that thing, got lighting, got a second monitor, did all this stuff to start showing off my collection. The very first video I started doing it, people were like, don't show off your collection. I was like, I don't know what to do. I can't win. I spent like $1,000 to start showing off my collection because people were getting mad that I wasn't showing anything off. And then the second I show off stuff, people are like, don't do that.
Okay, so your first mistake was from the very beginning was listen to people. From hey PK, show your stuff. That influenced you to do X. Don't listen to people. Right now, you did it again once you started showing off your collection. You got that beautiful background, and now you're getting the opposite reaction. And what did you do? Once again, you listen to people. And I don't know. Let me ask you this question. It's just a specific number. Throw it out there. How many people complained or reacted negatively?
Silent or vocal minority, probably. It's the vocal minority. I don't know how many people.
Give me a number, estimation. Just
probably like
straight out of your
3 or 4.
Four.
The same. Yeah.
How many subs do you have?
I like 6,000.
6,000. So you mean to tell me that the extreme minority has that much influence in what you do? And this is going deeper, and I'm not gonna steer off, but people need to stop caring about their opinion about you. Don't care. It's none of your business. My opinion about you is none of your business. You keep moving. Do what makes you happy. Do what makes the majority, 99% of your followers, do what makes you and them happy. Don't focus so much on the negative.
Yeah. Well, it's just that I didn't show any cards on my channel for so long that I was so like excited to finally. Now I'm surrounded by it, like to my right, to my left, to my back, to like to the corner, to the ground. Like you start removing out of this little edit that I have, like it gets pretty messy once you start going around me. So everything's around me, and it feels good. But yeah, it was a weird feeling.
So let me ask you, before maybe you've explained this. How did your setup, and I don't mean setup from a going live standpoint, I mean just your, call it your man cave, your poke room, your poke space. How did that look before compared to now?
Uh, you remove that wall. I mean, it's cardboard box city. Like,
Yeah.
sorry, Earth.
So
Someone.
was it more like chaos, and now it's just like beautiful displays left and right?
No, just that. Like,
Okay.
you start removing out of that, and it gets pretty messy.
Well, at the end of the day, do you enjoy the end result?
Yes,
Without the lives, no lives, just on your own. You're in your own little man
yes,
cave, pokey cave. You
yeah.
enjoy it?
Oh,
Boom,
I love that because that's all that like I like looking at that because all
boom.
that sentimental, all those have like things.
Yeah, I had my own poke room. I mean, for those of you that have been following PK and all of these great, YouTubers, I've been on some of these YouTube channels myself, and if you've seen my old setup, I enjoyed my poke room. Like that was my sanctuary. That was the just go there and nerd out and enjoy what you love and enjoy it. So the way I see it is those couple people or few people, couple hundred people that influenced you to get a better setup and now you enjoy it even more. To me, that's worth $1,000 if it's making you genuinely happy day by day without even going live to show people.
Oh,
You
I
know what I mean?
love
That, to
coming
me, that's
down here.
more than
Now
worth
I
it.
I use this desk for work. So there was a lot of stuff I had to do. Like I had to remove everything out of here. I painted the walls. I painted the floors because it's concrete floors because in my basement. I painted the ceiling. I like installed lighting. I got desks. All this because somebody was like, PK, show your collection. So like that first day that I started showing it off and people were like, why is PK flexing on everyone? And I just like it killed me inside. I was just like, guys, my channel for the first 2+ years was me with like a plain wall behind me and a photo of like the Rockefeller Center. Like it was the most boring background potentially in Pokemon. Like legit. Like you could have put that background against all backgrounds and it was probably the worst. And then people were like PK's flex and I was just like I can't I just can't win. I can't make people
You never
happy.
will. You
Yeah,
never will.
I think you're right. I just can't. Just don't do it.
Yeah, that's why you just got to do what makes you happy. Do what makes you genuinely happy, and you're good. I remember when your first live, you had your setup. There's about essentially, let me see, 4x5. So I see 20 cubbies, or at least maybe two because your head's blocking the other two. But I could see, let's call it 16 to 18 cubbies. And I remember when I first saw your first live, and there were two specific items that made me go, "Let's go!" I was so excited. It
That
was
one.
the magazine because I had that and I bought it. I can't even remember when I bought it years ago, but literally when it first came out, I just randomly saw it on eBay one day and I pulled the trigger. $40, I think it was. Um, and the GI Joe pack, the sealed GI Joe blister base set Pokemon pack in the back there. Those are the two items that made me say. But if I can make that connection right with some of these items, and I see a Burger King Pokeball up there as well. There's people that make connection with the Ninja Turtles, with the Power Rangers, with Jurassic Park movie. Jurassic Park movie is my favorite franchise of all time. Those are the types of things that when people just watch, even if they don't comment, even if they don't engage or let you know, people are interacting with the items behind you, and they're loving that just themselves. They're like, oh crap, PK loves Jurassic Park. That's amazing, right? Again, Jurassic Park is my favorite franchise of all time, so therefore it's like hell yeah, like that's freaking cool.
8.5 graded energies in a frame. How many people do you know grade their 8.5 expedition energies and then frame them? Oh, and that's a Pikachu 8.5 from Jungle, unlimited.
And
The
here's the
most
thing,
mean
guys.
grades.
And here's the thing. PK actually pre-graded his energies at 8.5 because he wanted 8.5 specifically. He pre-graded them at 8.5 to make sure.
So one of the cool things I've done, and one of the things I'm most proud of, and a lot of people are new to this channel, they might not know, but one of the things I want to do is I want to like raise money for charity. So what I did was I took a 8.5 psychic energy, but I call it the purple energy because of collectible guru calling the psychic energy purple energy. Didn't know what it's called.
Yep.
but I took it and I signed it. And what I did was I donated $20 to a charity. And then every person I send that graded energy to, they get that energy in the mail, they sign it, and then they donate $20 to a charity of their choice. There's actually some people in the chat that have owned that. I see Pokemon Classics in the chat. He was one of the people who had that 8.5 energy. He donated money to charity. I believe it's been to 8 different people to this point. It's taken a long time, in between, like months sometimes, but it's already raised $160 for charity. And the next person it goes to, they're going to donate and donate until potentially it goes forever. And I created an Instagram account called the Purple Energy. You could follow the path of it. Like, I sent it to Catch 'em All Collectibles, and Nick Old School Pokemon had it, and then Swami had it. God, I'm trying to think of who had it. Mason from Cardinal Gaming had it.
The
The
Green
Green Shiz
Shiz.
had it. But now, Basic, do you know where that 8.5 energy currently is?
If I recall, the last person to have it now is sitting right here, right in front of you.
Professor Elcadia.
So shout out to Green Shiz for giving me this. I mean, at this point, you know, it's quite the honor to get this. I'm not gonna lie. So I thought it
So
was super cool of
what
them to send
charity
it to
did you
me.
donate to?
Say again.
What charity did you, or are you going to donate to?
I haven't yet. I've actually have quite a few options, and I'm just trying to decipher. And honestly, I've just been a little busy. But based on I'm not going to call anyone out, but based on how long some of these folks have taken in between, I was like, all right, I've got some time. So I'm definitely going to be taking care of it within the next 7 days. I've already got it figured out, and I'm definitely excited to who I'm going to give it to. So yeah, it's going to be awesome.
And for anybody out there, no, they do not send me the money for the charity. They donate the money on their own. I'm not even asking for receipts. Listen, it's $20. I donated to a local animal shelter. I know a lot of people, you just donate to whatever charity is most near and dear to your heart. So no, if anybody thinks like I'm taking their charity money, I'm not touching any of that money. All that card is. And then the goal is I like to think of that card kind of being like an ice bucket challenge, where you just send it to the next person and then they keep forwarding that card along until eventually that card in reality has the potential to raise thousands upon thousands of dollars for charity, because hopefully that card goes into perpetuity, right? Like, it never stops donating money for charity. And that's one of the things I've been super proud of that I've been able to do. And then if maybe somewhere's down the line, I'm talking years from now, maybe that card goes up for charity. And at that point, it's going to probably have hundreds of signatures on it, and it'll probably be more or less blacked out at that point. You'll barely be able to even identify it.
So again, at the risk of getting some negative comments here, I'm going to show the sheets that you provided, right? The sign up sheet, that you provided here, but someone made a little bit of a mess here, but no big deal. That's you can still see everything, but it's only
Dan
a
ripped it
fifth,
in half.
it's only a fifth filled through the first page, and then you have the second page on top of that. But here's how it looks, right? Those are the names, and there's your sheet. But it's only a fifth through, and the cool thing about it, like, we know
what
this, we know
does it say
that
what
it's gonna
charities?
go. Say again.
Does it say what charities were donated on there?
Yes, every single person. Yeah, you got your location filled out, your dates, your charity. Again, only a fifth filled through the first page, and it coincides with the signatures on the slab. I know that for a fact that it's probably gonna stick around with the circle. And Green Shiz told me, kind of alluding to, it'd be cool to have this slab go overseas, right, for the first time, because at first you're going to send it to your buddies, right, people within the community, people within our hobby, that's it's a tight-knit community. It's an awesome community. Everyone here in the chat, we all know each other, we all see each other, and it's great, including the fan base. But regardless, it's something that eventually it's going to get in the hands of these either big name hobbyists, big name YouTubers, big name collectors that might not necessarily have a YouTube channel, but we all know, right? There's quite a few names that we can all name that are
Does he?
big. So it'll be cool to see these names. We've had a conversation where I believe this is going after me, and I think it's going to be super cool to see this name on the sheet. But I think
I
it
hope
will
it
be super
starts
cool to
with
see
an
this
R and ends
overseas.
with a Y.
Say again?
I hope. Oh, I already know who you're gonna send it to.
Yeah, I talked to you about it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that you were, pretty much okay with it. But it's going to charity, so you really can't say anything about it, PK. It's
No,
going to
no.
charity.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be super cool to see. Someone mentioned, I think you mentioned, Poke Chloe, right? To see a Poke Chloe on this sheet would be freaking amazing. To see Mr. Fuji, a Mr. Fuji will be freaking ridiculous to see on this sheet, right? And seeing from, or even just as I'm looking at, some of these names, I mean, so far every single person has had a YouTube channel, but even just regular collectors, I want to see just regular
Oh yeah,
collectors. Just
that's the goal, right? Look at that sheets. Those sheets have hundreds of lines on it, you know?
Yeah, and again, only a fifth through the first page, and there's two sheets, and eventually, Pika, you're gonna have to provide like a database instead of a sheet. It's gonna have to be a database where you plug in.
Well,
But you do
I,
have, and let's
I
shout
have
out
the
the
Instagram.
Instagram.
So
Yeah, let's
it
shout
was
out the Instagram. What is it?
uh the purple energy.
The Purple Energy on Instagram.
Yeah.
Essentially, every single person that's got it has posted a picture of where they've been. I
Yep.
think only one person's missed it, maybe, but yeah, it's going to be super cool. I'm definitely going to be posting on there. And then once again, these certain faces, like you imagine if you see a Mr. Fuji on there, right? Like taking a picture, wherever he's at, wherever he's freaking sitting nice and comfortably at, taking a picture with this purple 8.5 CGC energy. That's just a cool aspect about it, and involving everyone in and outside of Pokemon. It'll be super cool.
Yeah. So I'll post the link if anybody wants to follow the Instagram for it, so you could keep up with it. So that's a link for the Instagram to the purple energy. If you guys want to just like follow it, and you can see where the card goes. You can see some of the like older posts, and I don't even know when. What date did that start?
At least the first dated line says April 27th of 2022. So 1 year anniversary coming
Coming up
up.
on that card.
Yeah, 1 year anniversary coming up. That was yours. So that was dated 4/27. That was yours. And yeah, 4/27 coming up in a couple weeks.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. No, but I'm proud of that. It's something I'm happy of. I would like to see like Rusty get it, and then get we got to get like a Rev to get it, and then just every little collector too, people that don't have Instagrams, anything, get you say booyah. See him in the chat shop. The you say booyah. We got to get him to get that.
You say, he says, gotta know the fan is ripping basic. I'm assuming the ceiling fan.
Oh, so for anybody out there, the original basic view had that ceiling fan like perfectly in the shot, and it would just spin nonstop.
And it's still
Basic, I
spinning.
think that fan's more famous than you are. No offense.
I should get an IG account for the fan. I should get a fan cam.
But so what else has been on your mind, man? I know there's a lot just going on in life in general and everything, but what
There's,
have
I
been
mean,
tell me about some of your returns you got from PSA.
so this is, I mean, this is the current one. And again, there was a few, that was the spiciest one, was that T-Tar. Here's another T-Tar from Ancient Origins, PSA 10.
Dude,
This goes
I
for a
love that
healthy,
card.
yeah,
I love Ancient Origins, so
yeah, that goes for a healthy dollar. Caught it for like $10 or $15. Secret Rare Mewtwo.
yep. Breakpoint.
We've got a Team Rocket Mewtwo.
Yep.
We've got a Arceus, Zapdos, and yes, it's
Platinum.
Arceus, not Arceus. We got a couple primes here.
Oh yeah.
So we got a Charizard,
Blaine's Charizard.
and these were just complete fails. PSA 8s. PSA 8s. I'm either just gonna, stack them somewhere in the city and just whoever finds it, let's see what they do with them. But
turn it into a coaster.
Yeah. I showed the Gengar, I showed the Pikachu. Let's see, we've got a couple Mews, and of course, I gotta grade the zoo. I got a great
Oh,
dessert.
so
My
that ancient meat, which variation is that of the four?
it's just your standard
Yeah.
yeah, it's just your
English.
standard yeah, for what I got it for. Actually, you know what, now that I think about it, Ancient Mew, shout out Ancient Mew, he gave me that one, so that one's going to be a PC. But on Monday, was that this? No, it was last week. Monday, I shipped off a MetaZoo sub. I typically like to split them up. And so that was my last $15 sub was MetaZoo. $15 is gone, but what do you think? Do we get $15 next month?
We gotta. We gotta. There's no way we go 2 months in a row without 15.
So what's happening here? Are they just experimenting? Like, are they just trying to see, okay, now let's see how many people need to grade at $19 because they've been stacking up. And to me, psychologically, when even $4, people are like, I'll wait 30 days. I'll wait. What's PSA thinking here? Because they have smart people working behind them, right?
When I get Nat Turner on the channel, we'll get that answer for you.
It
I
just
talked to
doesn't make
Nat
sense to
Turner
me.
about coming on the channel, by the way.
Again?
I talked to Nat Turner about coming on the channel.
Ooh, let's go.
Do you know what his answer was?
Yeah,
Maybe someday.
maybe someday.
So I don't know what that means.
You just got to keep bugging them. You just got to say, hey, man, I mentioned your name in one of my live streams, and 30,000 people were watching, and the fans want you. The fans want you.
Yeah, I asked Nat Turner. I asked Joe Orlando. I'd like to. Can you imagine like that live stream if somehow you could get both Joe Orlando and Nat Turner in the same live? That would be pretty wild.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Joe Orlando would be a good one because Joe Orlando was CEO of PSA from 1999 till, or maybe not CEO, but he worked at PSA from 1999 to 20. When did Collectors Universe buy PSA? Was it 2021? Yeah, right.
yeah.
So 1999 to 2021, Joe Orlando worked there. Like he must have so much knowledge of like PSA history and stuff like that. I'd be fascinated to hear that history and ask some of the questions like why were little things tough to get? Why did it take PSA so long just to recognize shadowless cards? And it's funny because I've had Gary King Pokemon, and you're good friends with Gary King Pokemon. I know you guys have talked a ton, but when Gary King Pokemon, because he used to talk to Joe Orlando, he had like Joe Orlando's phone number in his phone. We're going back. But when Gary was talking to Joe Orlando, he said he wanted to name him No Shadow. That was the original name Gary wanted to go with shadowless cards, and then they ended up going with shadowless. But I don't know. I love Pokemon history, and like some people don't care about that shit, but I do care about that stuff. Like to know the difference of like the naming of shadowless cards, and they could have been named No Shadow.
Yeah.
And that no shadow variant was pushed for by King Pokemon and like Birdman. Those guys pushed to have PSA even recognize shadowless, and then it's funny when you think about it. Like obviously they recognized first edition, they recognized unlimited, but they lumped shadowless in there. And then 99 2000 variants, we call it fourth print, but in reality it's probably eighth print. It's the UK version. But that was never recognized until very recently, 99 2000. It's just, I love how the hobby expands. I love the history. Most people probably don't care about this stuff, but I love it, man. I love the thought of it.
I love the history. The aspect of history within companies or TCGs is my favorite aspect. And that's typically the route that I lean towards when it comes to PC. It's history, even if it's too niche, especially if it's too niche. Like that's the stuff that I really like. Stuff that people don't really care, because I think people focus a lot on sets, WotC, and stuff after WotC, and that mid era English, Japanese, it doesn't matter. That's where people typically go to. I go outside of that. I go Japanese exclusives. There's some English exclusives that are, even today, after the boom, still low pops. You would have thought that after the boom, essentially a lot of these have been drug out, but they're still low pop. So that tells me something, that these cards should be valued higher than they are compared to set cards, compared to cards that have 10x, 20x compared to some of these. But that's kind of my lane. I love the stuff that's just super niche, because when it comes to PC, I've always thought I really don't want to have what everyone has. I want to have what everyone doesn't have, even if it's so niche that it doesn't have value. But that's what makes my PC happy, and that's what makes me genuinely happy, is having stuff that other people will never have.
Yep.
Right? Or the most of the hobby will never even hear about, because they don't care for it, right? That's not
Like
attractive to them.
Canadian yogurt cards.
The yogurt lizard, yogurt Pika, right?
Either you know, or
Those
you
Canadian,
don't. You know.
yeah, those types of cards is what makes me genuinely happy when in regards to my PC, right? If you look at your whales of the whales, they're all gonna have essentially, give or take, the same cards. You know, you're gonna have your illustrators, you're gonna have your first editions, base set, you're gonna have your Sky Ridge, you're gonna have your gold stars, you're gonna have your trophy cards. They're all gonna have a variance of these things. I bet you none of those have a yogurt lizard. None of them have a yogurt lizard.
Dude, I
And
talk
so
about
that's
this
what
all the
makes me
time.
happy, because
Okay.
when Mr. Fuji comes over here with his freaking illustrators and his trophy cards and his gold stars, I'm gonna show him, oh yeah, look at pony-chu, bro. Look at yogurt lizard, look at yogurt Pika. Like, you don't have these. Get off me.
I mean, I've talked about this on lives before. You could have like just ridiculous things in your collection, but if they're cool enough, even people with the biggest collections in the world think it's fucking awesome. I talk about it all the time. That 1989 box of Ninja Turtle cereal, it has on the back of it like a regular Nintendo, you know, some kid playing the Ninja Turtles on an old TV. Love that thing. You talk about the pony-chu. We've done our way to shill the pony-chu more than any card has ever been shilled in the history of this hobby. But do you have the pony-chu close?
Always. It's always in my right hand.
All right.
And it's still not my favorite card, but it's always right here within reach.
Well, the ridiculous part of that is that card it's graded by Beckett. Well, it's authenticated by Beckett. It was a Pikachu and My Little Pony, and that was pulled out of a My Little Pony pack. Like, show them the back. That is a real hand-drawn one-of-one card that came out of the My Little Pony set. It's obviously you got a Pikachu, one of one. There is no way that they were supposed to do that. Like, that's got to be copyright infringement out the fucking ass. But it is a hand-drawn card. It is a true one-of-one. And Basic just found it on PWCC auction one day. And then it was poorly titled, I remember, right?
Yeah, and you know, as far as the story goes, like, there's been a few stories. I forget the name, Rose something, but the card was definitely pulled, you know, and the art, that's debatable, but regardless, the card was pulled from the set. And like, there's actually a shot. I don't think I'm going to be able to show it. It is on my phone, but there's a shot of so many sketches, and this part here where it says My Little Pony, the rainbow itself, and then the one-of-one heart, that's factory, right?
Okay, so
The
that's printed
sketch
on the
is
card.
obviously done by the artist, and that's Penelope Barbalios. But there's a stretch, and maybe I can pull it up here, but I have a picture of maybe 6 of them all together. Don't know if there's more of them, but there's at least 6 of them that someone has a set of these guys. One-of-one pony, My Little Pony. Here it is. So they all have the rainbow. They all have My Little Pony logo. They all have the heart one-of-one. And yeah, I mean, I'm just very happy to have it. And you mentioned that it was poorly labeled. I'm not too sure that it was poorly labeled, because I can pull it up now.
Put your hand in front of your camera. Go like this.
Oh,
yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Did it fix it?
There you go. Perfect.
I don't know if it was poorly labeled, to be honest. It was just one of those things that, unless
people
you're
didn't know it
for
existed. That's what it was. It was unknown to the masses. And I told you I would have fucking bought that card.
It was unknown to the masses for sure. And the one thing that I do when I'm looking at auctions, when I'm looking at anything, eBay, PWCC, Heritage, Golden, what I like to do is I look at Pikachus. I'm a Pikachu collector. So I just go to Pikachu straight up, and this one had Pikachu in the name. So as soon as I saw it, it just stood out like a freaking, yeah, it was like a, not the right term, but it stuck out like a sore thumb. I mean, it was just like, what the hell is this? It's a Pikachu. It's My Little Pony. It's a sketch. I was like, I gotta have this. Let's watch it. I remember having a certain budget, and I think I only had to touch half of that, not even. So I was very happy to get it. I mean, in full transparency, I got it for about $300, if I recall. I'm trying to pull it up now just to get the
And what's the
actual.
highest offer you got on it so far?
Say again.
What's the highest offer you have right now?
This was from Ken Lee, and again, Ken Lee had a buyer, which is why I think it went this way. But it was anywhere between 4,000 and 6,000. But it was because he had a buyer. It was because he had a buyer, and I'm like, well, if he has a buyer, that means that he's selling it for more than that.
Yeah.
And
well, I
so
offered you 1,500, not 15,000.
You offered me 1,500. I think the Green Shiz offered me Green Shiz offered me on the Leonhart Charizard. Yeah, it's just one of those things that it worked out in my favor, and 100% I stayed hush hush. I didn't mention this to anyone because I wanted this. To the point, Green Shiz, shout out Green Shiz. He went live on Sunday. He does PWCC lives. And he had it on his watch list. He had it on there. He talked about it for about 5 seconds. No one gave a crap. But the moment he brought it up, I'm freaking out. I'm like, no. I had a certain budget, and because he pulled it on his live stream, I had to double my budget just because I was like, okay, everyone's gonna go for it now. But it worked out at the end. Again, it was about $300, and I'm trying to pull it out now just to give you the right information. I want to give you the exact title of that card because it wasn't a crazy title. It was what I would say.
Michael Cellino had a great comment. He goes, "That's something my daughter would collect. You guys need skirts." I love that comment, Michael. That's great.
Yeah, exactly. And again, it's nothing that most people would collect, but for me, it was perfect. So I wanted for 240 with fees and all of that. It was 288. This was the I don't know if I can share or not, but this was the final the title. This was Penelope Barbalio's signed autograph sketch card Pokemon Pikachu auto BGS auto. So it didn't even have My Little Pony. It had Pokemon, it had Pikachu. But when I do my PWCC searches, I go to Pikachu first. That's all I care about first. Give me Pikachus. Let me see what I don't have. Let me see what's in a 9 specifically. And let me see it. And let me watch them and see if I could get it for the right price. If I don't get it for the right price, I don't buy it. This guy went for the right price for me. And I remember that day vividly. I went on Professor Oak's live later on that night. He brought me on. I explained something shady happening here, almost like they pulled it on their own because it went too low and they wanted it to go higher. And then a whole like 2-3 hours later, I got the to take care of the payment. So crazy story.
Yeah, no, I love it. It's a cool story. But we'll move on from the pony-chu because I'm sure people are tired of hearing about the pony-chu. But it does stick out. So now, Basic, I mean, I know you've had a lot of collection goals in the past. What are your vintage booster boxes? You have base at Jungle Fossil, right?
Base at Jungle Fossil. I sold my Team Rocket box.
Was it first edition or unlimited?
No, unlimited. Everything that I had was unlimited because, again, I always looked at it from the standpoint of, so going back, when I bought the base set box, I saw the first edition box, but I was like, why would I spend $2,500 on a first edition when I can just get the base for $600, right? Like, why would I make that? I could take $2,500 and then buy me 3, 4, 5 of every single set, right? Or one of every of the next 5 sets. That was my mentality. Obviously, that was the completely wrong move because if I would have bought in that 2,500 and just sat on that one box and not buy anything else, that would have been the clearer path for collecting. But anyway,
but
yeah, I sold the Team Rocket. I had a crap ton of packs and what have you. But on the way down, I sold a little bit of a lot of these sealed because I just didn't care much of it. I really only have attachment to the first 3 sets. I collected the master sets of English and Japanese. Long story, but I sold the English and I kept the Japanese. But right now, as of right now, I only have the English base Jungle Fossil. I have tops of the first 4 sets, and I have doubles of each one. Those I never sold, even through the peak or the going down. I love tops. I know a lot of people hate tops. I love tops.
You've always loved tops.
I've always loved tops, and yeah.
I knew you were going to bring up tops somehow this live. I somehow gave you an in. I wasn't planning on giving you a tops in, but you're able to take it. But no, the question I wanted to ask is, so what are your collection goals still? Because at the end of the day, you are a collector true and true. But what are you, is there anything you're still going after?
I mean, yes, sure. Like when it comes to goals specifically, there really is one goal. And I've always said, I'm a collector of no goals. If I have a goal, that makes it feel like a job and it makes it frustrating, I guess, a little bit. I have no goal other than I want my PC to stand out versus any other, even the multi-million dollar, collections out there within just a few cards. I want my collection to stand out. But to answer your question, if I had to answer your question, it really relies on Pikas. We talked about a card yesterday, and Classics is in here. I actually DM'd him some time ago. I think he made a video, and that's what allowed me to DM him. Ivy Pikachu from the secret rare, right? Air quotes, secret rare from Jungle.
I got one at PSA right now, man.
That's definitely in my bucket list. And there's quite a few Pikas, but really when it comes to goals, it falls in the Pika line. Yeah, those very vintage, very rare, very exclusive Pikas. Outside of that, I really don't have a goal. It's just whatever I like, whatever it attracts me to add to the theme of my PC is essentially the grand scope of the goal.
Yeah, but that my first edition Ivy Pikachu, I'm hoping to get a PSA 1. Because I think that will be a pop 1, PSA 1 of one of the rarer cards in the entire hobby, and I think I'll be very interested to see how people price that card. I don't have any plans to sell it anytime soon, but that's my hope. If they give me a 2, I'll cry. I'll have to resubmit it.
And so, and I don't know if you said this. Are you saying you're flipping it or you're keeping it?
I'm just gonna keep it. I mean, first edition Ivy Pikachus are so rare to begin with, Yeah,
So
Pokemon Classic says first ever secret rare. Like, yeah, technically, first ever secret rare is the Dark Raichu from Team Rockets. It's number 83 out of 82. But is that the first ever secret rare? Potentially not. It's potentially that Ivy Pikachu from Jungle. Why do we get to this? One, I don't believe it's ever been pulled on camera. People have told me it has been, really old videos, but I've never seen that video. And how much Jungle First Edition has been open with like the boom going on and your whatnots and YouTubes and everything. How many first edition Jungle boxes were open? If that was really the case, we would have seen it opened, in my opinion. So, but then what do we get into? Then we start to look at like Rusty had those test blisters. They weren't, like mock blisters straight from the factory from Wizard of the Coast. What the designs might have looked like. His was a Jolteon artwork, but on the pack itself, it said, look for like secret rare. I forget the exact wording. It was like, look for secret rare Pikachu. So like then people started to speculate that's where those first edition Ivy Pikas came from and stuff.
And yeah,
So
someone mentioned
Pokemon Classic
Locken, I
says it
believe
has been pulled on camera. Watch my video on it, PK. Yeah, Classics. If you could do me a favor on Instagram, like shoot me that link.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've seen one, and it was because of Classics
Okay,
that
I've never seen it. So
yeah. And again, that video is what made me reach out to, because I don't know if Classics, I don't remember now if Classics was actually selling it. He mentioned he was selling part of his collection, and that was maybe one of the highlights, or he just had it as part of his PC. And so I reached out because Ivy Pikachu has always been on my radar, but there's a lot of things on my radar, and I'm more of a let's wait for the right price type of collector, type of buyer. And
Yep.
Ivy just has never been one of those, cards that has always been a value buy. It's always been graded, right? Because if you can find one ungraded, that would be a crazy find. You yourself bought one ungraded, right? But
I showed you the auction I bought it at, just like super poorly titled auction.
Right, but in a PSA 1 condition, right? And obviously I need a PSA.
With a seller with 33 feedback score. I went real hard trying to get that thing.
But I'm a snob for PSA 9s, and I need Pikas, especially Pika collection needs to be a PSA 9 minimum. And so, yeah, I remember I reached out to Classic, like, hey, if you're selling, dude, I'm your guy. And he pretty much said, like, nah, I'm not selling this guy. But if I do, you're gonna be the first guy I call. But there's a few options on eBay. There's quite a few graded options on eBay. There's first edition, at least. There's a PSA 8 right now with $1,000 starting bid with 0 bids, 15 hours left, but it's a PSA 8. And I need a minimum of a PSA 9. But that first edition, and Mr. Locknet, if you haven't seen it, he was asking that he doesn't know what's the Ivy Pikachu. Ivy Pikachu speculated, but obviously we saw the video that you pulled it from the Jungle set, first edition Jungle. And the thing is, or the speculation comes into play, was it by design? Did they add that? Right. So is that promo that everyone has, right? Everyone has that promo.
Everyone. It's Black Star promo #1. Everyone has it. It's not a rare card, but then the secret rare one has a first edition stamp right there.
Right. And it's first edition because you pulled it out of the first edition Jungle booster box or set, because right, maybe it came from blisters as well, what have you. But anyway, yeah, for the longest, it was always like, oh, was this a secret rare? Did this actually come from Jungle? And then Classic showed the video. They actually pulled it. But still, the speculation is, was it by design?
Right back,
was it by design? Was it an error by WotC? Was that supposed to be intentional? And the fact that there's so many, and when I say so many, there's quite a few options throughout the world today. Let's call it I don't even know what the pop is. I'll look the pop up now. I'll look up this PSA 8 and see how many are above it. But the amount of PSA 8s, 9s, and 10s makes me think that it was intentional, because at the end of the day, how do you mix that up, right? How do you mix that up? How does that end up on a WotC sheet? How does it end up on, not a WotC, how does it end up on a first edition Jungle sheet if this is a promo? And my thinking is, my opinion is that this was definitely intentional. There's actually a blister pack. I don't remember who had it, who showed it. Maybe it was Rusty. So in a PSA 8, there's 87, and higher, there's 99. To me, that's way too many. Just graded alone, there's way too many for it to be an accident. It was intentional. And someone, Rusty comes to mind, it could have been Gem Mint, someone in the hobby has a blister pack or a display of some sort with packs in it that has the Jungle Pikachu, the Ivy Pikachu first edition stamp. So that's when everyone said, okay, it was definitely intentional, because that first edition Ivy promo is on that display. So that's definitely intentional.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's just one of those cool little things. Again, there's just like this weird conversation that happens sometimes. People are like, why do you care about this stuff versus why do you not care about this stuff? And it's like, eventually you run out of stuff to care about. And sometimes you got to care about stuff like this. And if you like the history of the hobby, some people just don't care about the history, though.
Michael Chiono says, quit contradicting yourself. Buy it if it makes you happy. Pay for the 9. Well, to quote Rock Pokemon, collect what you love, but do it intelligently. I'm not just gonna pay an arbitrary price that someone puts up there. I'm gonna look at the market. I'm gonna look at the history of a price, and I'm going to try to beat that price. Case in point,
Case in
I
point,
have if
I
I'm
got
in
the
here,
nutrition error salamence I still haven't sold yet. I have the only graded copy in history, so I have a 1 of 1 of a card that sold raw for $1,300 and I haven't sold it.
1,300. Oh, not in
Yeah.
here.
Sold for like
Um,
1320.
yeah, part of what makes me happy is buying things at a bargain, right? One pony-chu, I had a budget. I would not go over that budget because if I bought it over my budget of what I had originally in mind, I would not be happy at the end of the day. I would like the card, but I would hate the price. Speaking of Yogurt Pika, this
Yoga.
guy was going for about $400, $500 during the boom 2021. I just bought this guy recently. I was willing to go 350 on this guy. I got this guy, I believe, for $75. For 300, I would have been like, you know what? I didn't like the price, but I really want this card. It's worth it.
But see,
For
basic,
$75, I
there's 93
freaking love
people
it.
watching this live, and probably like 86 of those people didn't know what that card was. So
Yogurt Pika
there's
Stadium.
there's a reason why too, though. I mean, how many of them were
So,
there? All 150 Pokemon were yogurt cards, right?
no, not all. What? Oh, yes, all 151 were, but
Oh,
only
it's
I
151 and
believe
not
like
150.
20 of them were hollow.
So there is a Mew then if there's up to 151.
I don't remember if there's a. Oh yeah, yes. I actually it's I could see the image of Mew. Yes. So once again,
150.
yes, 151, but let's just say 20 of them are hollow. The rest of them are non-hollow. So you have your three starters: Blastoise, Charizard, Venusaur, Pika. You have Mewtwo, and then I believe there's like a Jigglypuff thrown in there. There's like all these random, like who cares Pokemon, but there's only like it's a subset of 20 of hollows.
And how
But
many do
because
you have?
I'm a major Pika collector and then a subset of Charizards as well. I have the Charizard version and the Yogurt Lizard. But to answer Michael, it's like there's an equation and variables to what makes me happy, and it's not just collect what you love. It's collect what you love, but you're just not gonna break the bank to collect what you love. Also got to do it intelligently. Again, shout out Rock Pokemon. Um, yeah, you got to stick to, and to me it's more, I've had this conversation with a few folks. To me it's more of the chase of not the card but the price more than the card, because Ivy Pikachu is there. I can pull the trigger on Ivy. It's not the card itself, is I want the best price possible. So when I'm on PK's channel, I can brag that I got this Ivy Pikachu for 500 because it was such a steal. To your point, you got yours for such a steal, even if it is a PSA 1. You got it for such a steal because it was poorly titled.
Poorly titled. Yeah.
Those chases, those types of finds, it gives you a very unique adrenaline rush versus just buying it at full price, at full market price. If that makes sense to anyone here.
Um,
Classic says, going back to the Ivy Pikachu, it seems to be international, at least with the first jungle print run, but Wizards may have scrapped the idea in the 11th hour due to the timeline for jungle release being moved up. And then he said Rusty. So I think, again, I was naming the content creator that showed this, and I said Rusty or Gentman, so it was Rusty.
that that was how mine. It's hard to see.
There it is.
Error first edition promo Pikachu 1999 Pokemon card. That's how they labeled it. Like no Ivy Pika in there. Nothing. It was just
Even the image is not, it's not vertical. It's in a 90-degree angle. So there you go.
Oh, and the seller has 33% feedback right now with a feedback score of 0. So yeah, I really took a leap for that.
And it says too complicated to manually distribute them into packs on an abbreviated timeline. Yeah, Classic says I got mine for $5, so he'll always beat me on that
You'll
card.
always beat me too, yeah. I still spent $50 on mine for a most damaged copy from a zero feedback seller.
The only way that I can get that card for $5 or less is to pull up on grandma's yard sale and miraculously find one. That's about the best I could do.
Basic, you got any of those yard sale stories? Because I had the lab TCG on my last live where like I had somebody on and he was talking about a couple of his yard sale finds. Like I think he had it found like a Treco Gold Star from Team Rocket Returns and maybe like a Flareon from Power Keepers, I think, or a Vaporeon, one of the two. But do you have any of those yard sale finds or those crazy pickups that stand out?
Yard sales, no. I'm not I'm not much of a yard sale, person. But obviously you have your stories of, buying lots, buying binders, buying collections on eBay. But the caveat is like it was way back in the day, right? But my favorite story of buying something so cheap, holding it forever because I'm just a collector, and then ultimately during the boom, making the decision of grading it and flipping it. Me and my brother, this was pre 2016 easily, and we were just there was a trip where it was a road trip, and I just decided randomly Google Pokemon TCG shop around me, near me. One popped up. Let's go there. It was within a few miles. We went there, checked out the shop, started going through a few binders. Asked the guy like, "Hey, do you have any Pokemon binders? Yada yada." Yep, here they are. Went through the binders, and I found, I don't know, like 9 to 12 base set Charizards. The most expensive one was maybe $10. The least expensive was 5, and it was all because of the condition.
Yeah.
Another 6 to 8 Blastoise, another 6 to 8 Venusaurs. I bought every single Charizard, Blastoise, and Venusaur simply because I never owned any one of them, let alone pulled them, right? I never owned any one of them as a kid. So as I go in there as an adult, I'm like, you know what? I'm buying every single one. The guy gave me a deal on top of that. I couldn't tell you what was the deal, but he just shaved off from the total. And I bought every single one. I go back to that moment and like not even because I had already spent those were the first 4 to 5 pages, Charizards, Blastoise, and Venusaurs. I kicked myself because at that point I had already spent X amount. I didn't flip through the entire book because at that point I'm like, oh man, I just dropped like $75. Like I should just I'm like what am I gonna do? Spend 200, 300? Again, this was pre 2016. So I took those, put them in a binder. This is so cool. I just tossed the binder away because I'm not a big binder guy either. 2016 comes around, big, there's a spike. 2020 came around. That's when all the binders came out for essentially everyone that was paying attention. All the binders came out, everything came out of the binders, graded, and I graded 3. Well, I should say one of each Charizard, Blastoise, Venusaur. I gave to my brother as a gift based on that memory, based on that day. He holds the only trio from that set. I sold the rest of them, and the highest grade was 1.9. I did get 2.8s, but again, all between $5 and $10, and this is including Blastoise and Venusaurs. So that was the most memorable buy that I ever had, but it was only because I bought it pre 2016 and I graded during the boom. But yeah, yard sales per se, like I don't have a single, but it was definitely a cool moment. I still remember that day that I picked those up.
I feel like those stories are still happening like out there somewheres, you know? I still believe that there are moms out there selling kids binder collections and stuff at yard sales, and they still exist. I just wonder if like the big purchase will ever happen again, you know?
I mean, speaking of yard sale pickers, though, it got suggested to me maybe within the last week, maybe even a couple of days. Yard sale picker, one of these resellers, eBay resellers, they go to yard sales and, this is what they do. The guy picked up or some way, somehow found a big Pokemon collection, lady that was moving. The guy bought it, went literally piece by piece of this bin of Pokemon. Within this binder, there was some cool EX cards, original EX cards. He got a Gold Star Celebi based on the condition, 8 to a 9. That's just freaking cool to found. It was the only one, the only real crazy pull, but the guy just did it within the last week.
So
So that's still out. Those things are still out there. There are still grandmas and moms and aunties that have these freaking collections from their kids, from their nephews, that they don't know what to do. They don't know what's going on. They just want to get rid of it. He
that is
bought
the
he bought the entire thing for $40. I mean, there was probably in raw form, total estimation, in raw form, probably, I don't know, $500, $600. That's in its raw form. Graded, you're now multiplying it about 3x because of what we pay. We pay the premium because it's in a plastic slab.
yeah. No, it's wild. I think the cards that will slip through are the ones that like people might not know. Like and this is a guarantee. I don't say guarantee a lot, but I can say that with 100% guarantee, there is a like Rayquaza Gold Star from Deoxys sitting in somebody's binders in their attic or under their childhood bed or in their childhood closet or in the basement of their parents' house. There is a Gold Star Deoxys sitting in some binder somewheres, and they just don't know. They don't know what it's worth. They don't know, and it might be a 9, might be a 10. Maybe that kid took that card right out of the pack and put it right into a binder sleeve, didn't damage it while I was doing it, and it's still a 10 candidate. I could guarantee you that situation, there is at least one Rayquaza Gold Star in a 9 or 10 condition that's in somebody's attic, basement, closet, under the bed, or trust me, that exists. And there will be a day that does like make the light of day again. And then there will also, I can guarantee that there will also be that same scenario, but it never makes it to the light of the day because it goes in some dumpster when they're clearing out somebody's house and they get a huge dumpster. They park it in the driveway. Somebody dies and they're just dumping shit in that dumpster. And they pulled up this random cardboard box from the basement. It's got a bunch of old binders of junk wax baseball and some Pokemon cards, and somebody looks at it and goes, "This is junk," and just tosses it. And guess what? That Gold Star Rayquaza from Deoxys is just gone forever. I could guarantee that will happen. And I hate to use the word guarantee.
I have limitless amounts of daydreams of me pulling up to grandma's yard sale, and she's got bins, and I'm getting greedy. Not even like one of those like this
Getting
size
greedy in my
bin. I'm talking about
imaginary
those very
situation.
long, put a Christmas tree in it bin, and you open it up, and then all of a sudden there's Sky Ridge and freaking all these Watsy boxes. Grandma, how much do you want for it? I don't know. Do you think 100's fair? Yep, here's $100. Let me PayPal you right now. Let me sell you right now, Grandma. And let me put this in the freaking car before anyone sees it, before anyone says I'll give you freaking 10. I daydream so much about that, but also I need to get out there if that's the case. I don't know, maybe that'll motivate me to get out there after this conversation, but I daydream about it. But yeah, it's crazy. Though for 100%, those stories still exist. Think about the people, and I forget the conversation. I remember Retro was in there. Shout out Retro. Um, we were talking about how many people are still unaware of what Pokemon and what happened during 2020, and even adults, even kids that collected these things, but they became professionals and just could care less what Pokemon have. Care what doesn't They don't even know that Pokemon still exists and they still have it. That's the United States, let alone people that traveled across the world and or relocated, and they're sitting wherever they're sitting. They still have this childhood collection. They'll never know what happened. Like you mentioned, the worst case scenario happens, estate sales happen, and that's how like the U's and I's and of the world stumble up across these collections. Those are freaking cool stories.
Well, and the craziest part of this is I think we get, and my favorite thing to say, niches of the niches. We get deep down the rabbit hole. We know what stuff is worth. Basic. There's probably some of those binders out there with the Rayquaza, and maybe it has another gold star. Like maybe it has a Torchic in it or something. and that binder's worth $10,000. I think sometimes we lose sight of how much money $10,000 is to certain people. $10,000 to people can be like, in a way, life-changing money, or maybe not life-changing for like the grand scheme of your life. You're going to live to be 76 or 80 or whatever. But like in the very near term, $10,000 could be like a ton of money for people. And the fact that they might have $10,000 sitting in their childhood binder in their mom's basement and they have no clue, but yet they're struggling and they're like, it's like a crazy statistic. It's, I would throw out numbers, but it's like a certain percentage of the American population, if they get a bill of $2,500, they like don't have the cash available to pay it. It's like a crazy high, like
It's like,
percentage number.
and really, if I remember that stat, it's like $500.
Oh,
60% don't have $500 for an emergency, which is, think about what 60% is, right? 10, essentially 6 out of 10 people don't have $500 in their savings account, which is crazy to think.
but they
It's crazy
might
to
have a
think,
$10,000 binder that they don't know about. Like,
right?
I mean, it's crazy when you start to think about this, but it goes to what you were saying. There's probably so many people out there don't know what's going on right now in Pokemon. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's out there. How do you source those people out? How do you dig them out of the ground? Like it's almost impossible if they themselves are under a rock, right? They've been living under a rock. Grandma's been living under a rock, and this is her nephew's or son's, collection. She has no clue whatsoever, and maybe the people around her, but even the people around her, family, what they don't know that she has, Timmy's freaking binder. And again, I daydream about grandma a lot, and
whoa, 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 whoa. Come on, we're trying to keep it a little PG, a little basic.
yeah, but yeah, I definitely would love that. I would not shy away from that.
But yeah, no, it's pretty awesome to think that those, purchases are still out there. How much of this, I mean, you could go on goodwill.com. Goodwill.com used to be a very good source for like sourcing cards. It's not really that way anymore. But how many people are just bringing a truckload of Pokemon cards to Goodwill because they're like, yeah, get rid of these, give them the Goodwill. And it's just life-changing money for some of these people. Again, $10,000 for some people, they might not be life-changing, but for a large, you just said like 60%, $10,000 could be life-changing money in the near term. And they just
And
ship it out to Goodwill.
yeah, and Ivy is in the chat now, and I
We
want to
should get Ivy on the
say,
live.
yeah, I want to say 2-3 months ago, and I think maybe that was post your live. I want to say definitely post your live. She went. She does. I'm not even gonna blow up her spot, but she has plays, very specific ways to getting these collections. Ran into a person, contacted the person, they met up in a bank. She has a story on her TikTok. Met up in the bank just for safety reasons, right? And she went through this collection, and I mean, she bought crazy cards. I mean, she didn't buy everything, but what she bought was crazy cards. Japanese Lugia, Charizards, first edition Blastoise, like they all came out 8, 9s, and 10s. That Lugia, Japanese Neo Genesis Lugia came out as a 10, and those are low pops compared to 9. What she paid versus what she got in value after grading, ridiculous. So that was just a few months ago. These stories are definitely possible.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, I don't want to get into like the vintage versus modern debate and all this stuff and like time in the hobby versus timing the hobby, but there can be something to be said with just like being a little bit of like true active engagement and finding these deals, because those deals do exist. They are few and far between. I promise you, if they weren't, like everyone would be doing them. But what's that? You ever seen the movie Little Giants?
Little Giants. The
There,
only
there's
thing that
there's a
comes to
scene in
mind was Small Soldiers, but that was about
no,
it.
there's a scene in Little Giants. It's like the football team's little kids, but like the coach, his name is Danny O'Shea. He tells the story. He's like about racing his brother down a hill, and it only takes one time. And I think like in this hobby, sometimes, and then like, so he beats his brother down like a bike race down a hill. And the whole thing is like, just sometimes it only takes one time. And in this hobby, it's the same way. Sometimes you can do play after play after play after play, and they work out or they don't work out, and you're just kind of flatline. Maybe you go up, maybe you go down, but it only takes one time to get that big binder buy, that big collection buy, that big flip, that big buy, that big grade. It takes one time. And that one time can change the trajectory of people's like path in this hobby forever. And I do feel sometimes people do get a little nervous. They shy away from that or they don't want to spend the time, but it only takes one time. And that's like a message to everybody out there. It only takes one time. You can potentially get lucky, but it's probably not going to just like show up at your doorstep one day. You have to put the time and the effort in. And the worst part is it might never happen. But there will be a like minority of the people watching this live or in this hobby that they will get that one-time play. And when it happens, like, and the crazy thing about this hobby and a lot of people's future in this hobby is everybody's like future hasn't been written yet. Like the future is what you make. So whatever you make of your future, the amount of time and effort you put in, like, I don't know. I think there's so much opportunity in this hobby right now. But again, I hate those blanket statements because not everybody's going to be able to do it. It's going to be so much luck involved. Like,
Yeah, I remember 2, 3 months ago, I went to a local show here, and I remember you specifically because you were challenging their story. I mean, I can't challenge their story. It's their story, right? Like that's what they gave me. That's what I had to run with. They went to grandma who inherited this essentially it was a storage locker from her brother, sister, what have you. It was something like, it wasn't her husband, it was like a brother or sister, something like that. And she just wanted to sell everything because she doesn't know what she's got. It's Pokemon. She sold it to this one group, essentially a shop in Houston. They always show up to the shop, to the show here in San Antonio. They pulled up with so many series 1, 2, 3, however many series there are of the play promos and what have you. The Umbreons, the Espeons,
talking
the
Pop
ones
Series, Pop Series
Pop
1.
Series. And I was like, yo, like, why do you just have like randomly of each series, I should say, Pop Series, 3 boxes of each and one open, and he's selling them a pack by pack. He's not selling them. Sure, you could probably make an offer for the box, but he's selling them pack by pack, which is a smart thing to do. He told me the story. Grandma inherited this freaking storage locker from sister or brother, and she doesn't know what she's got. She's like, who wants to buy this? She posted it somewhere. The guys right away pulled up. We'll give you X amount. She says, yeah, I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah, I know.
They have
I
like
know
$1
that
million.
story.
They have like $1 million
I know
based on
that
what the guy
story. The
told
Pop
me.
Series 5 packs. I know that story. You told me
Yeah.
that story.
So I
But
remember like I don't know if it was on Discord, maybe it was on a live. I was telling you the story,
yeah,
and
but
you were
it was
like, I
probably a
call cat.
judge. It was an old Pokemon judge who was, judging during the 2007 timeline and put that stuff in a storage locker and probably died. Chances of that happening very low, but it did happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's too bad they didn't film that. It would have made a good video.
Yeah, for sure. And these guys are just straight up businessmen. They do own a shop, but like from the content spectrum, they have no clue what's going on from content. They're market watchers. They know what's happening. They own their own shop. So, but outside of that, just outside of business into the content creating, they have no clue what's going on. And yeah, I just questioned it when I saw their display. I was like, how do you still have all of this? Because I'm thinking, boom, how do you not get rid of this during the boom? And they were like, oh, we just picked this up like 3 months ago. And this was maybe 6 months ago, if you recall, like when you were questioning that story. So it was post boom, but still, again, in a very healthy market where if you bought that locker for $10,000, like, man, they made such bank on that freaking play. Ridiculous.
Yeah. Well,
But like so many people say, you need to be in a position to also make those types of plays, right?
well, look at Leonhart, right? Like Leonhart has gotten
PK, you mind if I step
extremely.
away for a quick sec?
What was that?
You mind if I step away for a quick
Oh
sec?
yeah, go ahead.
Thank you.
I'll save this thought. But one of the things I want to talk to Basic Trainer when he gets back is like when you think about YouTube, or if you, let's say you got a collection and you know nothing about Pokemon whatsoever, you're going to type into YouTube, you're going to type into Pokemon, and probably one of the first search results you're going to get is probably either PokeRev or Leonhart. So if you had a big collection to sell and you didn't know how to sell it, you're going to reach out to this guy and be like, hey, by the way, I got this gigantic collection of Pokemon cards. Would you like to buy it? And like probably a lot of the buys that Leonhart has made has been because of messages like that or emails like that. And I know Leonhart got a bunch of like base set 2 boxes and stuff like this, but it is what it is. He never talks about the prices he pays for this stuff, but I'm sure his price points, his entry points were super low. And then more recently than not, Leonhart made a huge video talking about like a gigantic buy they did from Japanese seller. And I'm going to let you in on a secret that's not a secret. Like everyone kind of knew what happened because if you were looking at the rare candy auctions and you were looking at what they were selling, you can go on different lives. You go on my lives. There was a lot of people talking about it like, oh my God, Rare Candy must have did a big buy, but they must have bought it from the same person. And that was like one of the things that everyone kept repeating. Like they must have bought it from the same person because of how niche some of those items were. And then sure, like after the fact, Leonhart came out and he made a video talking about that big collection buy. But basic, all I was saying was I'm pretty sure like when people have collections they don't know how to get rid of, they search YouTube, they find Leonhart right away, they message him and they're like, hey, do you want to buy this collection? I know nothing about it. And he's probably gotten some pretty sweet deals from that.
Sorry, I missed your part of the conversation there, but I'm just grandma's is still a part of the conversation in the chat. But
I mean we got Ivy, so we got to get Ivy on the live. She's been on the channel before, but hold on, base, I gotta go take this.
yeah, no problem. Ivy definitely has stories. I know Ivy. I'm good friends with her, and she has stories to tell. Again, just a little quick. Her background is with diamond grading, and so at a certain point, she applied that to cards, and her gem mint rates is ridiculous, almost to a fault, because she's skipping on like a lot of nines that maybe get tens just because it's humans grading this, and she's a little too harsh on pre-grading. So her nines are probably tens sitting in her freaking closet right now. But yeah, her gem mint rate is ridiculous. She came on Pika's channel once, and she has so many awesome stories of the way that she gets these collections. It's freaking crazy. But yeah, grandma's definitely watch out. I'm out here. My voice is 50% back. Oh yeah, I hope you're doing better, Ivy. I know that you've been sick. But yeah, Leaf Green Goblin. He's mentioned in Wisconsin. Yeah, I lived in Wisconsin for 13 years, and then the rest. I'm 35. The rest in Chicago, and I've been here for about a year and a half now in San Antonio. A little less than a year and a half. You've got Northwoods, and I know Ava was from Wisconsin, and then Empire. Is it Empire Cards? PK.
I don't even know who that is.
He had a YouTube channel. He's like good friends with Mason because of they run shops
Yeah. Oh.
Okay, I know you know him,
I
but you
remember
probably
him though.
don't.
I remember him because he used to like hold his mic weird, right? Didn't he used to hold it or something?
Yeah. And he would be in the shop. He would be in the shop talking. He's very like philosophical. He's very deep in his conversations in regards to TCGs.
He's not like
but yeah, a
us.
guy from Wisconsin. That guy was like maybe 40, no, not even 30 minutes away. And then you have Denny Phantom in Wisconsin as well. A lot of Wisconsin folks over there, and like Classic says, a lot of Midwest people for sure.
Yeah, Pokemon Classics out of Minnesota. So
My mom does like them young, Ivy says. I don't know what's going on in the chat. I think I'm gonna
I
keep
don't
my
know. I think
eyes.
Ivy just wanted you to like be your dad.
Basic,
Stepdad, I should say.
basic. Stay away from my mom.
Anybody watching this live after the fact is hearing what we're saying, but they're not seeing the live chat right now. None of this is making sense.
I think Ivy's the culprit. She's such a troll. She's such a troll. She's such a bully, actually. But you know.
Yeah. Well, it's funny when I had Ivy on, obviously like one of the big videos that went super famous for her was the washing machine Charizard, but that was like a cool story too.
Yeah, that was a crazy story. I mean, what does that video have on TikTok? 14, 15 million?
Oh,
It's
I thought it was
ridiculous.
more than that. I thought it was like 20 million. I'm sure Ivy could tell us, but it
Maybe,
was
yeah. Ivy, let us know how many hits those that video has. But yeah, and then long story short, right? She picked up this
Crystal Guardians.
Crystal Guardians Charizard. She picked it up in a collection, and she does TikTok. She's a content creator, so she's doing her thing, and then all of a sudden, well, what happens? Mommy things happens, right? So she's got her two kids. She's got it in her pockets. The pants go in the washing machine, and then she realizes only when she's offloading her load, oh, there's two cards upside down in the washing machine.
Yeah.
And or one card, and she knows that one of them, it's either a gold star,
Metagross, I think.
no, not Metagross. It's one of the legendaries, but the steel ones.
Regirock?
Regirock.
Regirock.
And or yeah, and
I don't know
it
why I
was
said
either that.
Metagross. I don't know
It
why I
was
said
either
that.
that.
I don't know
Yeah,
why
it
I
was
just
either
said that. That
that
was dumb.
or Charizard, Crystal Guardians Charizard. So right away she starts filming. What is it? Crystal Guardians Charizard. At first she thought nothing of it. She posted it. Freaking went wild. This freaking thing went wild on TikTok. So much so that she reached out to CGC. She graded it with CGC. CGC gave it a pedigree, washing machine Charizard. And it got so famous that she decided to auction it for a good cause. It was for charity. Gary helped out in the process. I can't remember. I'm skipping on the number that Charizard went for. I remember I went for it thinking there's a slight window, there's a small window that I may have a shot at this card. There was no shot.
Yeah.
There was no shot. Gary said someone over in France bought that card.
Yeah. So I wouldn't call it an interview, but when I was at the Denver Collecticon, I walked around and I like had my camera, had my microphone, and I talked to a lot of people. And I talked to Ivy and I talked about that because I knew it was going up for auction. And she asked how much I thought it was going to sell for. And I told her, I said, honestly, it's going to depend on the buyer. It could go for as low as 1,000. It could go for as high as 50,000. It just depends on who's buying it because all that money was going to charity.
Right.
So, yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Yeah, awesome story. And since then, she's told me, quite a few people have tried to replicate. They've tried to replicate washing machine Charizard. They'll throw it in the washing machine. They'll grade it, and they'll contact PSA or CGC or Beckett and see if they can get a pedigree. But they all deny them. They're like, no, you're not going to get a pedigree, including CGC, because, well, one, from CGC standpoint, it's like, this is big hits, right? They look at the numbers, and it's just at that point, it's just good marketing, right?
Yeah.
Let's grade this card, let's give it a pedigree, and it's just good marketing. It's super smart on everyone's end. But people are trying to replicate that same thing, and they're not yielding any success.
Yeah. She said 18 million it got.
18
Shout out to
million. Yeah, that's crazy.
Pikachu's in the live. Pikachu, if you're around, if the kids are asleep, you should hop on too, man. Anybody wants to hop on, we could have some people join late on.
What's going on, Peak? Yeah, let's see. If Peak wants to join, Ivy Classics, let's do it. Let's make this a 12-hour stream. Let's make
Pokemon Classics has some good stories. At Pokemon Classics, he needs to show off his collection a little more. I got a chance to talk to him in Denver. He has some bangers. Got some sealed product too. Things you wouldn't think Pokemon Classics has. I'm not going to blow up the spot, but he has some pretty sweet stuff. We got Drew, number one. So basic, you are a mod on my channel. How do you feel to know the fact that Drew is the number one mod? Does that bother you? Are you
No,
offended
he
by
does.
the fact?
He 100% deserves it because if I recall, he was the first mod, right? I came after the fact, and I believe your first three mods. I could be
No, I
wrong
mean
here.
he's just number one mod, just in content creation. Like he's top notch, man.
He's
I
top
appreciate
notch.
you.
He does it all. I actually learned. I was like, oh, that's what mods do. That they're supposed to link stuff, and they're supposed to. So I actually learned a lot from Drew. But shout out Drew. One of my favorite streams to this day because of what it represents, essentially for your channel. You brought me on. You brought Chev. You
No, that
brought
was Professor Oak.
Professor Oak. Yeah, you're right. Professor Oak and Droop. Essentially, your first three mods for your channel, the first three people that you modded,
First four, yeah. First four.
and that was a cool moment because that was the first time that Droop was, that was a face reveal. Was
Face
that the
reveal.
first face reveal for Oak as well?
No, Professor Oak had his channel by that point. So it was on
Okay.
Professor Oak's channel. It started off with the four of you guys. So it was you, Chavals, Professor Oak, and Drew. And then I
Yeah.
hopped in at the end of it. And I messaged Professor Oak about that. I was like, hey man, what would be a really good live for you to do is to get all my mods in one live and then I'll hop in. And no, it's super fun getting to meet Drew. He is a little more quiet, but he's just, super actively engaged. I
Yeah.
I'm not gonna blow up Drew's spot, but like he's busy with his family too. Like he does a lot of what we do. He does a lot of listening and yeah.
Yeah.
Uh
Peak says that I don't know how many people have commented on the background, but Peak, it's looking great, man. I appreciate the invite. I'm in a rent house for 3 to 4 months, so I'm MIA for now. Yeah, he's in the process. So I believe he just sold his house. He's building his new home. So he's in a cool transition right now. Congratulations, Peak.
yeah, so both Pokemon Classics and Peak both shot us down. That's okay. Uh Classics is just
Dang.
busy. Hi. And Peak is busy too. We're just
At this
throwing it out
point,
there.
I'm gonna to be fair. At this point, I think they're just scared that I'm on because they know that
You don't
this
know.
this could go. This could go for 12 hours if they
Yeah.
come on.
That's when you just have to like put up the Coulson light, like a Batman light. You just say Coulson, and I'm
Coulson,
sure you think out of one of the 102 people watching right now is Coulson one of them. We throw up the Coulson signal, and Coulson says, "I'm in."
well, I was going to mention, as we're talking, or some time ago, an hour ago, whatever it was, we were talking about the Mount Rushmore of PokeTubers, classics, right? And I have favorites, and they all have reasons. Classics, it's one of them, and I've always said, whenever there's a classics video, is stop what you're doing. A lot of folks, I can wash dishes, cook, what have you, driving, and listen to you guys, watch you guys, right, while I'm doing these things. Classics deserves my undivided attention. I need to be sitting down, nothing else going on, and classics explain. So classics is 100% one of my Rushmore YouTubers. Yeah, it just came to me right now as he's commenting, but
So we'll do mini Rushmore. What's your So I would think about my Rushmore. So my Mount Rushmore right now is Rusty's on there, hands down. He's the first round draft pick, right? Then next, I would say, for me personally, like this is personal bias, but definitely like Rattle is my number two. He's up there. Rev because of what he's done, and like watching him is definitely my number three. And then number four, I'm trying to think. This is the problem now because I just got rid of three of the four spots, right? So now there's just one left. The fourth is tough. Mm. I don't know. I don't know what my fourth is. I mean, I'm my like I gotta think about it though. Because now I gotta really eliminate one. But there's guys that like stick out, but they just don't make the content. Like Pokemon Classics, I think might be up on my Mount Rushmore, man. Its only problem is he doesn't pump out the videos like consistently, you know?
Classics?
Well, like, you know what I mean, like
Yeah,
super
yeah.
consistently.
Right.
Like
Yeah,
he might be my
and
number
that's
four. He
why
might
and
be my
that's
number
why
four though.
yeah, and that's why when classics comes on, it's like you know it's good.
Yeah.
There's never a bad classics video.
No,
Never.
oh, they don't exist.
Right? You
Yeah.
know it's like HBO, it's a big movie. You got to go pay to see it in the big screen. That's the type of content that Classics has. If anyone in the chat is not subscribed to Pokemon Classics, please do so. You're missing out on knowledge. You're missing out on perspective. You're missing out on philosophy when it comes to Pokemon Classics for sure.
People are saying, so I do have a different Mount Rushmore, but it's like the older ones, you know, like your Scott Pratt and your Gem Mint Pokemons. And I, no matter what Cool Trainer Ryan would feel, I would still throw like Leonhart up there. Like those guys that were doing videos in the past, I used to watch a little bit more. People are saying Cool Trainer Ryan. Cool Trainer Ryan is probably not on my top, my Mount Rushmore, just because I know him personally and his channel's still a little too new for what he's doing. Pokenomics, people are saying maybe are on theirs. Pokeflips, PK, Basic.
Yeah.
Basic, what do you think of that? The fact that you could be on somebody's Mount Rushmore for 12-hour
That's
lives.
crazy. That's crazy. Listen, the one or two comments that I get per video, I love the ones
One or
that
two comments.
some of my favorites are honestly some of the ones that I may not even know that are regulars. There was this one guy that commented on my video, and he said, "Man, I love your content because," and it was during one of the 12-hour lives, because this was about 2 days later after the live. I'm currently on a road trip to Orlando. It's an 18-hour drive. And I just got through 12 hours of that drive watching your live, and I'm on a second live, one of your second lives. I responded back, I was just like, bro,
2x. 2x is the thing.
the fact that you listened to 12 hours of one of my streams versus 24 half hour of someone else's channels, like it's crazy to me, but I appreciate that a lot, because to know that one person genuinely just likes your content, it's crazy to me, right? But that's the stuff that I really enjoy, because I just yap, bro.
Yeah.
Like I just yap. We can talk about anything and everything. Nothing is off the books. I grabbed the page off your book, PK, when you brought us on for the first time. When you brought me on, I mean, the original one was Swami. When he brought me on, he had no clue who I was. I was just commenting on everyone's comment section. I was joining everyone's lives. Finally, Swami said, "Dude, who are you? Like, I see you everywhere. Like, who are you?" I gave my spiel. He says, "Dude, you should be on Pokemon Radar's coffee with what was his podcast called?
Collectors drinking coffee, I think.
Collectors Drinking Coffee, something along those lines."
Yeah.
So I told Swami, "Screw that. How about a freaking live podcast with you? Because I watch you all the freaking time." He brought me on. He didn't vet me. He didn't like have a little chat beforehand. He was like, "Dude, let's do it." Then Gal followed, and you were number 3. But ever since then, you're the one that's had me on the most. Forget CTR, forget Rattle. Those guys
Whoa,
don't
whoa, whoa,
count,
whoa.
because you guys have a special podcast, right? That you guys are doing
Oh,
monthly,
okay.
right?
Yeah.
So okay, let me rephrase it. They're hosts, right? I'm a guest. And
Yeah.
I don't think anyone comes close to me as a guest versus,
Oh,
anyone
no.
else. So
Yeah.
one, I appreciate you, PK. But man, it's those types of comments that I don't know. It's one thing if PK, you're on there and you're commenting. Okay, cool, PK. I love you. I appreciate that. But when it's just complete strangers commenting those things, like, and you have that type of effect, that's pretty awesome. That's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, for everybody out there watching, listen, we're gonna do it within the next 7 days. We need to get Mr. Basic Trainer up to 1,000 subscribers. I know that is a push, but listen, The #1 link in the description below is Basic Trainer's channel. The #1 mod in the game, which is Drew, can link Basic Trainer's channel. Actually, Basic Trainer can link his own channel because he's a mod. But and then after this video is over, if you've somehow made it to 2 hours and 29 minutes, first of all, you're a legend because you made it this far after the fact. And number 2, number 3, it's going to be the first link. I'll pin the comment. Will be Basic's channel.
I tried to. I was trying to see if I can link my own channel while you're talking, but apparently I'm not fast enough. So
yeah, Drew. That's why Drew's #1, man.
That's why Drew's #1. But man,
I love when I love
fun.
when he talks. Sometimes people in the comments will say #1 mod in the game. I love that.
Oh, Drew 100%, still is a game. I'm trying to think of like who comes close. And I guess if I would have named a second mod in the game, it would be Dan. Dan's pretty good at like, keeping track of the chat, linking people's, YouTube. Whenever the YouTube channel host mentions a YouTuber or something along those lines, Dan is in there freaking linking.
Billy from Billy and Rubik, she's up there, man. She's a good mod.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she's good. But yeah, when I called out Rattle and CTR, it was those are hosts.
Yeah.
I'm a guest. Let's give me my props. They're hosts, I'm a guest. So but I appreciate you, man, because honestly, you do hold. I've been on your channel so many times, I've lost count. And I appreciate every single time I've come on. It's always a great time.
Yeah. No, I'm happy that podcast exists too. I think a lot of people found the channel from the podcast. Do you remember like the first one we did? Because I feel like you were in the chat for it when you were just like, "What's going on?"
Which which one?
The CTR Rattle Me podcast. Like,
yeah, I was there. I mean, you announced it, right? It wasn't a surprise thing.
No, it wasn't. But how it's blown up though.
Yeah. Oh, 100% is blown up. I mean, you're during those lives, you're getting what 400 to 600, concurrent freaking, live watchers. It's crazy.
Yeah,
It's freaking
600.
crazy. Again, I don't know how you do it with 85 people watching. I mean, I struggle with, 15, 20 people watching, which is ridiculous to me that 15, 20 people are watching me at 3 a.m. But yeah, you getting 400 to 600 watchers is crazy. But I mean, people love CTR, people love Rattle. I mean, those types of personalities, forget it. Like people just, it's people eat that stuff up. CTR specifically, like he's just a freaking. I would love to meet that man live. I would love to meet that man personally because he's one of those very unique people that, crazy as he seems, he's that crazy live. He's that crazy in person, right? Like PK is chill. The way that you see him right now, he's super chill in live. I met him for the first time during Leonhart pop-up shop, and PK is just super cool, super chill dude. But
that's a Mewtwo.
Yep, that's right, Mewtwo.
I hit
Pull the
10,
Mewtwo, but for some of these extra animated people that you see live, you always question: is this the real guy that I'm going to meet, or is this just a persona that he's putting on? Right? CTR is the real CTR in behind the screen or in real life. So
he's a real deal, Vander Holyfield. Yeah,
he's a real deal. So I would love to meet that man. I'm yet to meet Rattle. I remember he was saying, wasn't he supposed to be at like Denver?
No. Oh, Rattle
or Long Beach. One of those two.
Maybe Denver. We're trying to get Rattle to do Charlotte. It's a maybe.
Yeah. I would love to meet that guy. Obviously, we all, well, not all, but during that whole Logan Paul thing, it became so crazy, so cool, and for me, it was more of it takes. I mean, we know now that that's just what Rattle does, but it takes big cojones to do what Rattle did, and was calling out people that were possibly in a scam and scamming. I forget what the sports collector guy was. Shine, and Logan Paul eventually. But such big names in just the world, influencers, to be calling out people in possible scams takes big balls to put your name in the front lines and get exposed that way. and then you were right all along. I mean, obviously, a lot of us knew he was right, but it
I
still
made a
takes a
ton of
person to
lives
do it.
talking about it too. Yeah.
It still takes a person to really put himself out there, and he did it so much so that when they actually opened, I remember, I have to go back to this moment. I remember Logan Paul was dropping his video of them opening the box. X people were there in Chicago opening the base set box, or the base set first edition case that BC no, not BCW, right? It's, what's the name that wrapped the
BBCD.
box? They wrapped the box. Anyway, they were all there. All the parties were there. They opened it. I was at home. I had to rush home after picking my girls up from school. I rushed home because I knew it was dropping. I get in front of the screen and I'm watching this thing as it's getting nearer and nearer towards opening and slicing through the case. I'm watching this thing like I'm watching a sports game and it's game 7 of the World Series, or like it's freaking Super Bowl and it's the last drive of the game. And I got my hands up in the head and I'm like, "Oh my god, what's going to happen? What's going to happen?" And it's GI Joe.
GI Joe.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, there's no way. There's no way I lose it. And if I recall, maybe once, 1 week, 2 weeks later, Leonhart happened. So I knew that I had to freaking do something cool. And that's when I decided Rattle is such a freaking personality. It takes so much cojones to put your name out there, make yourself vulnerable to being wrong. And so much so that I was like, this dude's a hero, regardless of what people may think. This dude's a hero. I put him
We're
on
all
a
duped.
sweatshirt.
Agreed. Basic. We are
Say
all
again?
duped. We are all duped. Agreed. Agreed.
Dude, we were all duped. Even myself. I remember you had me on the live,
Yep.
and you were like, "Basic, is it real or is it fake?" And I was like, "Dude, it's Logan Paul. He's worth X amount of money. He's a marketing genius. How does he
So,
not have geniuses behind him telling him, dude, this is fake.
do you
Don't
remember what
buy
I
it."
said?
Or
I
right,
said
you're
no.
in
You're
the
giving him
green.
too much credit. That's what
I
I
gave
said.
him too much credit. I gave him too much credit. And ever since, and so again, that's what prompted me to, one, make the Rattle hoodie sweatshirt that I still have in my closet. And two, during that Leonhart, when I met you for the first time in Rock Pokemon, I bought two GI Joe boxes and I just handed them out. I just handed them out at Leonhart pop-up shop.
Basic. Go Joe.
GI Joe.
Go Joe.
GI Joe. That Logan Paul yell of GI Joe, and it could be anything else. GI Joe. It's,
Why did
it's
it have to be
hilarious.
GI Joe? Uh,
So that's where
but
that
it's,
whole.
yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Be good.
No, I mean, yeah. Thinking back on stuff, I reached out to Rattle. So this is the irony. I reached out to Rattle before the whole Logan Paul GI Joe thing happened, and then when it happened, he was super busy, and he was willing to come on my channel after the fact, and it's just everything feels like so long ago, but it wasn't that long ago. You know, when you put into perspective of just your life in general, it wasn't that long ago, but everything feels because this hobby has moved forward so fast. People have said that I made that GI Joe case.
You made the GI Joe case?
Oh no. People said I did.
Oh, okay. Well, let me ask you this. I mean, who was the first person to bring it up on the channel? Was it you? Was it Rattle? Was it someone else? Because I can only go
Rattle
by the
was
people that I follow.
people talked about it on E4, but Rattle was the first person to bring it mainstream. 100%. Yeah, like people knew that that existed, that case.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rattle was definitely the first person to bring that up, and it feels so long ago, but it wasn't that long ago. And the amount of money that was spent on that case, and I mean, I think people take for granted sometimes like how fast this hobby has moved in such a short amount of time. I think people see dollar amounts today, and it's very hard for them to just remove themselves like 3 years, 4 years back. And yeah, those prices 4 years ago, drastically different. Oh, there's the hoodie.
So it says, "Not all heroes wear capes." And I made that myself, and then I got the hoodie made. But yeah, it's, you know, again, just from my own perspective, it's like we all had an inkling that it was a fake case. But who's gonna go and put their names out there, right? Put their names on the line, make
PVCE.
themselves vulnerable to criticism, to backlash, everything, and including big names out there right now. This guy LP is opening his freaking case, risking the value of the case because of this one person that was so loud in the hobby that LP had to open the case, and it was Rattle. And yeah, so that's the only reason why I had the hoodie. If you go to actually that's my logo. That's my logo on the YouTube, on the Instagram. It's actually me. So that actual logo, it's me pulling the only unlimited Charizard live on Leonhart's live, right? That's right. And I still have one of the
I'm
original
still
GI
trying to
Joe.
get professional opinions whether or not this may or may not be resealed. I'm leaning towards it's definitely real. Yeah,
That's definitely real. It's definitely
definitely
real,
real. This
PK.
is straight from the Wizard of the Coast factory, ladies
Straight
and
from the
gentlemen.
Wizards of the Coast. There was a print run with GI Joe's packs in it. Um, but dude, I just remember that whole sequence, 2 3 weeks, whatever it was. It was the craziest time because again, all of that, fake stuff, Rattle, GI Joes. We go to Leonhart. You pull a freaking Mewtwo, Leonhart live. Um, Speaking of Ivy, Ivy pulls a freaking Raichu, your boy. She pulls a base set Raichu from a blister pack hollow. You pull the Mewtwo hollow.
You remember I tried to trade for that Raichu? Look what that. This is what
Yeah,
mine
yeah.
graded.
You try to trade with Ivy for that Raichu for Mewtwo,
10.
one for one. I pulled the Charizard, the only Charizard at that unlimited Charizard that was pulled in the event. So the logo that you see on my YouTube and my Instagram, it's me actually opening my pack, and I'm skipping on the name. Who was the guy behind the mic? Deep
Deep
Pocket
Pocket
Monster.
Monsters, Pat Flynn. Yeah.
Pat Flynn. Pat Flynn comes up to me. He's like, "Oh, check out the hoodie," and that's me going like this. And so that's where the logo comes from. But yeah, that was such an epic moment. I will never forget that moment because I was with you. I was with Rock. That's why Ivy was there, and it was just so cool. During that sequence, I remember the hype's gone, right? The yelling's gone. We go back to the balcony, to the VIP balcony, and we're sitting down. And as I'm just like sitting there thinking to myself that I just pulled a base set Charizard, the only Charizard live, it hit me. And I just said kind of just under my breath, and you guys heard it, or I said it loud enough, but I was like, I just pulled the only base set Charizard I've ever pulled in my life. I never pulled it as a kid. And I just did it. And not only did I do it, but I did it live on Leonhart's channel. And all you guys went nuts after that. Like there was this, right, 15, 30 minutes earlier, there was this big round of like, holy crap, that's crazy. When I said that out loud, and I was just like flabbergasted, like I just pulled my first base set, and you guys went crazy again. You guys went crazy again. Freaking, let's fucking go.
Yeah, but don't forget the fact that TCA came up to you. Well, first of all, he had to chase you down like off the stage because he couldn't find you at first. And TCA came up and he paid your grading fees for that Charizard, which today people might hear grading fees and they're like, oh, TCA spent $15. No. At the time, this is going back when PSA was shut down. The cheapest tier to grade that Charizard was $100. And Rusty stepped up, chased Basic Trainer down, and paid his grading fee to grade that Charizard. So, like, that just shows you the type of person Rusty is, too.
Oh, Rusty's a dope dude. Because yeah, so I remember you guys beat me to the ripping tables, right? And I was the next set up.
Yep.
And so when I went up, pulled the Charizard, what have you, I watched you guys do your pulls. So you guys were already somewhere. You guys disappeared. As I'm walking off, Only thing I couldn't think of anything. I'm just like, I have this freaking base of Charizard in my hand. Like, I don't know what to do. Where's PK? Where's Rock? And as I'm walking down, I just hear you guys yelling, basic, basic, we're over here. You guys had penny sleeves. You guys had freaking card savers ready to go. You said, I remember you saying, sleeve
I
everything,
was like,
sleeve everything.
sleeve it, basic, yeah.
So I had basic Charizard for maybe 15 seconds, 30 seconds, where I'm actually looking at it on my own. As I get to you, the first thing you say, PK, let me see that Charizard. You see the Charizard, you're looking at it, you're inspecting, you're pre-grading, essentially, is what you're doing. Rock gets a chance. Out of nowhere, as I'm sleeving my commons and uncommons, here comes Rusty. Rusty says, hey, did you just pull Charizard? And I was like, yeah. He says, I want to grade that card for you. Right away, I'm like, oh, no, you don't have to do that. Like, I'm going to grade that on my own, right? I didn't have an account yet. I was hoping to use yours, PK, but I was hoping to, like, do it on our own and whatnot. Rusty's like, no. I insist in grading that card for you. I shut him down like 3-4 times before I say in my head, I'm like, this is Rusty TCA Gaming. This is the Charizard Authority. How do I say no to this guy? And finally, I'm like, yeah, I gotta allow him to do this. So he graded it for me. It was so epic.
Can
It
you
was
see
so dope.
this right now, basic? I'm
Yeah,
sharing my
yeah.
screen. So this is outside the Leonhart pop-up shop. This is like when me, you, and Rock first met. And then
We're
I
opening
try to
some
fast forward
modern.
a little bit. This was like the inside of the venue, remember?
Yep.
That was the bar. I remember it being like 10 a.m. Like we got there super early.
Yeah, we got there early, but we made it a point to make it there early.
Yeah.
We did
So
not
if
want to
you
be late.
remember this line, that's how early we were like the first ones in line. And nobody was there yet. This place got so packed, so crazy packed. And this is where they like nobody was even in here. At this point, we must have been the first, what, 20, 30 people in there. And a lot of these people only work there. Oh, wait, did you see Rusty
There's
right there?
Rusty. There's Rusty.
Yeah.
Yep. I remember you
There's Rusty
saying
right there. And
you
then
saw
there's,
Gent Mint. Yeah, I
yeah,
was
there he
just picking
is.
up. You
There's
saw Gent Mint far away, and you asked me like, "Hey, Basic, you think we can talk to Gent Mint?" I was like, "Can
yeah,
we? What do
there's
you mean?"
Nate.
I'm like, "Yo, Gent Mint, come over here, bro!" Like, and then I introduced you to all you. I introduced him to all you guys, and we started opening packs. It was awesome. It was
Yeah.
dope.
It's crazy to think about. Like now, I consider Zach a friend too. So it's just crazy how time flies.
I mean, it's so easy in this hobby to just like it doesn't matter, and this is the one thing that I've learned throughout the years. It doesn't matter who you I'm gonna go out and say it, who we idol, because that's just a thing, right? We
Yeah.
idol a lot of these let's call them poketubers, right? You never met these guys and you have an impression about these guys. They're celebrity, top, tier level, type of people. And then you get to meet these people and they're just the most normal,
Yeah.
the most humble people you'll ever meet, to the point when I met Gentman Pokemon and Nick Old School Pokemon, shout out Old School, shout out Gentman, for the first time, they invited me out that night. They invited me out that night to hang out, go out to
So,
eat, have some
all right,
drinks.
real
They
quick,
didn't know
basic.
who the hell I was.
Basic, I don't want to cut you off, but that right there, that Charizard in the middle is the pack I grabbed, and the pack you grabbed was directly below it. And
Yeah,
if I didn't grab that Charizard, you don't pull your, or if I don't pull that Charizard artwork, you don't pull your Charizard.
I remember going through that sequence and just saying like, well, I'm just gonna go right behind PK and I'm gonna just grab the next pack. That's what I'm gonna do.
Oh wait, you didn't pull a Charizard. Wait, did I? Oh, somebody pulled that before me. So there's two Charizards on top of each other. I
Yeah.
haven't
I
pulled my
went with the
pack yet.
Blastoise. I went with the Blastoise on the
Yep,
right.
yep. So I haven't pulled my pack. This is Rock. He's pulling out his pack, and he ended up going with Jim. So
Yeah,
it's wild
no,
to look back on this video.
Yeah, I'll have quite a few IG videos, reels on my on my Instagram, and it's just footage, and it's ridiculous, this event. I mean, that was only a year
So
ago.
yeah, so
January, a year ago.
that's my Charizard pack. And then this lady just instantly like butchers it. I'm like, oh no, what are you doing? She's like, at the time I felt like she was violating the pack. I was like, what are you doing? Like, oh my God, it's like painful to watch. But
So someone mentioned, who was it in here? The Mexican hipster. He says we need Basic to open the package live. For those who don't know, Rusty graded that card for me. It was in his account's name, but it was shipped to me, and I never opened the box. Long story, but I never opened the box. It is still in the PSA box as we speak. That Charizard that I pulled. I don't know if it's a 9. I don't know if it's a 10. It could be
how
an
much
8.
I'm shaking
probably.
right here is crazy. And these packs had the 2-card pack trick, and it's like there are base set packs that have 2-pack card tricks, some that have 3. Look how much I'm shaking. And there it is. That's the Mewtwo that I hit the 10 with.
That's crazy.
I was shaking so much, and you remember, so Leonhart made a video opening up the blister packs, and there is a variant of base set that has a 2-card pack trick, and during Leonhart opening those blisters, he showed that it was a 2-pack card trick. So here's where you pull your Charizard.
There's the hoodie. People think that this was like rigged. People think that this was repacked.
So I
because
actually
of the whole rattle
I got it
hoodie
wrong. I thought yours was below mine, but yours was the one next to it, the
next to
Blastoise.
it.
I could have grabbed this. Oh no, ads. How dare I make money watching my videos?
Go get your all, guys. Go
Everybody
do
go
your
get
laundry.
all.
If you're gonna
This
do your
video
laundry,
is
do all.
sponsored by all.
Everybody tag all right now.
Oh, Disney
and Disney
Plus.
for that matter.
Disney would never sponsor my video in a million years.
Basic, go to Charlotte and do a live with Rusty opening the box. Listen, guys, you guys heard it here first. How many people are watching right now? If I go to Charlotte and I get to meet Rusty or see Rusty again, he's gonna open the box for me. I don't care what he says. He's gonna open the box for me, full circle, and he's gonna do the Charizard reveal.
Basic, why are you opening packs like this? Oh, you did get a Pikachu though.
Yeah, I did get it. I still have that Pikachu. What do you mean opening the pack like this?
You were doing it for the camera though.
Oh, for sure. Because the camera came to me like, energy. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
Wait, I love this part. Ready? You like pull the card close to your shirt and you put it right next to Rattle's face. That was the cameraman for this did it so well.
And instantly,
listen, I'm with everyone that this had to have been fake because of how well that was. So this is me and Rock, like on the ground, watching you pull this.
Instantly, people were saying that this was rigged, that it was repacked because of the whole rattle thing, and so they thought it was staged because of that. It was just pure coincidence, bro. Like, it was crazy. Yeah. And on top of that, I was for freaking bozo and handing out GI Joe packs to all the kids. The kids were like, "What the hell is this, bro? So like, where are the Pokemon events you're handing out GI Joe packs?"
Yeah. So here's Rusty. This is when Rusty was paying for your grade and fee, and he's got the old TCA, the Charizard Authority shirt on.
Yep.
Wait,
that was such an epic event.
Behind so Rusty, people. Is that Pokemon DNA? Look behind Rusty. Is that DNA? No.
No, that's not him.
I thought it was. No, he was there though.
But we met Pokemon DNA for the first time there for as well. So many people that we met that day that like we obviously are still friends since. Yeah, that was a super cool event. Awesome toys. I saw a lot of toys that I've never seen and I'm still searching for since that day. Oh, so there's a Team Rocket.
Here's Ivy. Oh, everybody was like, "Oh, Leonhart was so hard to meet." No, he wasn't. Like, look. You got Leonhart's got a GI Joe pack. His fingerprints are on the evidence.
I gave essentially everybody that I saw, I gave them a pack. I had so many packs to hand out. It was just I couldn't get rid of them fast enough. That was
Shout out to Ivy.
Ivy's Charizard, washing machine.
Yeah, there's the pedigree. And no signatures on it, no nothing.
Yeah, just straight up. I wanna, if I recall, $6,000. Their Shiv.
And there he goes. Oh, Open Evolving Skies when it was still like a $2 a pack or $4 a pack.
When no one cared for Evolving Skies.
Oh, this is just us.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That's when the night got fun.
That's when the night just went off the rails. Yeah, we met a whole bunch of cool people that day that still to this day I stay in contact with. I don't know if you remember those crew of guys.
Oh
that,
yeah, I met up with him in Denver.
Oh, okay, awesome. Yeah, he came. Yeah, I've when I was in Long Beach, he came up to the booth. I believe he bought a card from me. He bought me a beer. Yeah, again, this hobby's amazing from that standpoint. This hobby's amazing for sure.
Yeah.
CTR's in here.
For
CTR, where's Cool Trainer Ryan?
For a
Cool
couple
Trainer
minutes,
Ryan,
I'm just gonna go pee, grab a beer. I'm gonna drink one more beer, and then we'll end the live. How's that sound?
Perfect.
Oh, basic. Did I lose you?
I'm still here. CTR, if you're still here, I don't know if you're here, but I'm gonna call you out because a lot of people have been claiming that you and Rattle have been on PK's channel the most. And I would just like to throw out there that you are not. They are completely wrong. If you believe that you hold the record, you are mistakenly making the wrong assumption because Basic holds the record. So, but all respect, CTR, I love you, bro. I can't wait to meet you one day. I believe PK hasn't said it, but I think you're going to be in Charlotte. So if you are going to be in Charlotte, I would love to freaking meet you for the first time. That would be freaking dope. Let's go through the chat while we're waiting here. Retro says, Basic, if you don't pull up to Denver or LBC, the mixtape is off. Bro, I'm there. Denver, I'm not so sure, but it's pretty much guaranteed that I'll be in Long Beach. Long Beach last year was a freaking, for me at least, it was a movie. So Long Beach was amazing. I'm going to be there again. Denver is going to be one of those things. If everyone decides to go, then I might just have to pull up. But yeah, I'm definitely in Long Beach. I'm going to be going again. I'm in San Antonio. So how do I not pull up to Dallas and Houston? So I'm going to be there as well. Charlotte, PK's trying to convince me to go to Charlotte. We'll see. I think it might be the same weekend that I'm going to have to be in West Virginia for a MetaZoo tournament, 150K tournament at that. But yeah. Let's see what Felipe says. Leonhart opened all the heavies on his channel like a couple of weeks before the event.
Yeah.
There
was a lot of that conversation going on there.
I remember we went, man, you, me, and Rock, we were deep diving into Leonhart's
trying
videos.
to figure out what was going to be there and stuff. We went hard. You talk about overanalyzing modern. We were overanalyzing every Leonhart video.
We were overanalyzing everything. And I remember, down to the point where we were like, what's the pack trick? And because we were watching so many Leonhart videos, like, well, he's doing, 2 from the back. So that's got to be the pack trick. So 2 from the back. And that's what it was. Other people were making the mistake of doing 3 from the back as if it came from a booster box.
If you watch that live, everybody was showing their hits.
Yeah.
But, and then because of the base set 2, I was like, there's no way I'm grabbing a base set 2 pack because I think they're all weighed. Because he was doing that content. And listen, I'm a strong believer. I've been this believer that you cannot weigh base set blisters. Dan Catch 'em All Collectible swears up and down that you can. I'm telling you, I personally, this is the most subjective semantic argument you could have, that you cannot weigh base set blisters. I will go to the grave saying that. I haven't done it. Some of the people that I know personally have said so. Did we lose Basic Trainer real quick? Oh no, we. Oh no, did we lose basic? Basic, get back. All right. Anyways, I hope this was fun. I think me and Basic went down memories lane a little bit. I think maybe he just walked away real quick. He'll probably be back. But yeah, that Leonhart pop-up shop event was a ton of fun.
Sorry about that. I should have told you I was going
Oh,
off screen.
I thought like I lost you. Okay.
No. Mason Berry says, "Basic what? We're all going to Charlotte, all of us." Are you Mason? Are you trying to make me FOMO right now?
Basic, we've already talked about this. You're going to Charlotte.
Once again, okay, I'm gonna be completely transparent.
We're going.
The only reason.
No, don't say. I know why, but just don't say it. Like, I know.
Don't say it.
Yeah, I know, but don't say it. Yeah.
Don't say it. All right, I won't say it. PK
But
says don't say it. I won't say it.
I know why you're going. Or only reason you would go. But yeah, don't say it. I don't want to.
It's just the only reason why it's either on the same weekend or it's so close, like literally the weekend before, the weekend after that, it's another 150K MetaZoo tournament.
Oh, okay.
If it wasn't for
I thought you were gonna
that,
say
then
something
I would
different.
be there 100%. But it's back-to-back weekends. It's just a little hard. But yeah, you know the reason. You know the reason
Yeah,
why
I know
would go.
I know, and I hope that happens.
That
And
would
I
be
hope
dope. That would be cool. I don't even. I honestly don't even want to do it on mine because I don't want to. I don't want the responsibility to like take care of that. I don't care whose channel it goes on, everyone's channel for that matter.
everyone's, yeah.
I don't want to experience it from that angle. I just want to be right there in real time experiencing it. So yeah.
No, I'm looking forward to Charlotte, and I'm gonna have a table. I don't know
Oh,
if I'm
you
gonna have.
are.
Yeah.
Are you already locked in with your table, or is that still like whenever they roll out?
So I called. I called Nick on the phone. I have asked him a Disney Lorcana question on the phone, but like distribution question. But when I was talking to him, I was like, Nick, don't forget, I need a table. He's like, I got you, PK. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna have a table. I think Nick is. I think they're going really hard on Charlotte. There's going to be a lot of people like in this community that are getting tables. So I'll have a table, and then no promises, but I'm trying really, really hard to get Mr. Rattle Pokemon to go to Charlotte. And I told Rattle if he wants, he always has a seat behind the table. Like,
Rusty, if you're watching this and you've gotten to this point, if I can sleep in your attic, I'll definitely go to Charlotte. I'll sleep in your backyard. I'll sleep in your basketball on your basketball court. I will definitely
don't say that
100%
because
go.
Rusty's too nice of a guy. He'd be like, "Oh yeah, you could sleep in my office."
Rusty is so freaking dope. Speaking of Rusty, I mean, this is almost going back to pony-chu, but forget pony-chu. I made the post right on April Fool's about pony-chu being sold on his auction block.
Yeah.
I made the whole picture and everything, Photoshop, and I reached out to Rusty and was like, "Hey, Rusty, I'm planning this for April Fool's. Like, do you mind at all, or should I not do it?" He goes, "Go for it, dude." I posted it, and after I posted it, I was like, "Hey, if you need me to take it down, you let me know. I'll take it down." He goes, "No, if it's perfectly with my entire stories of the other auctions." And then not only did he, just allow it to go through, he reposted it on his story, and it was hilarious. The amount of people that I got on that, so
I
many
fell
people
for
that
it.
clicked on it, it was hilarious. The fact that
I
Rusty just went with it, it was funny.
Yeah, I fell for it. I was listening to your live when you talked about it, and I was like taking a piss when it happened. So I was listening to it in my ear, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go bid on this, but it wasn't real.
I got a lot of people with that.
But
Any questions in the chat? We're down to PK's last beer.
yeah, it's
Down
a
to his last beer.
3-hour live. This is nothing on Basic Trainer. So this is gonna be one of my final pitches. Listen, guys, we got 84 people. We need to get Basic Trainer to 1,000 subscribers in 7 days. That's all I ask. People always say like, PK, you don't have affiliate links, you don't have eBay links, You don't sell anything. You don't even show your eBay page. What are you doing? Listen, the only reason this entire YouTube page exists is to get Basic Trainer 1,000 subscribers. I don't ever ask you guys for anything. Sometimes I do ask you to subscribe. I do ask you to hit the like button, but I am asking every single one of my followers, please, please, please subscribe to Basic Trainer. He deserves 1,000 subscribers more than anyone else. Fat
I
Belly
don't know if I
Collects says he loves water ass bears. Fat Belly Collects. I also love water ass bears.
I don't know if I deserve it, but once again, PK, I appreciate it. Again, I just decide usually Friday nights, Saturday nights to decide to go live. And my channel is truly open to anyone. We can talk about anything regarding the hobby. If you go through my video, see the reason why I don't have at this point 100 videos, 200 videos is because every video is like 12 hours. So for one person to go watch just one video, it's gonna take them days, weeks just to get through one video. So yeah, it's just one of those things that I appreciate everyone that does hop on. And you never know. I always open it up to the public. I always open it up to the chat. If you want to come on screen, I'm your guy. I want to talk to anyone and everyone that's willing to come on screen or not, and we'll have a conversation about hobby. I love that.
Yeah, that's why I love the Rattle Discord. I love the happy hour chat just because I get to talk to people. Last night after the live, you hopped on Basic. It took a little convincing. You were probably like, I just messaged you and tagged you in the general chat. Was like, Basic, get on. You were like, what the fuck, BK?
Yeah. Well, again, I was definitely busy. I was taking care of something, and then I get home, finally look through my phone and the notifications, and I see PK freaking tagged you or whatever, and I go on there and I was like, jump in, and I was like, okay, let's jump in, let's see what the hell's going on here. And there was a whole party going on, so
Yeah,
it was
because
definitely
you
fun.
jumped in. That was why we did this live. Because at the end, I was like, Basic. So you're coming on the live tomorrow, and you're like, all right, you got it, man.
You don't have to twist my arm. You don't have to
Nope.
twist my arm. If we're talking freaking hobby, you don't have to twist my arm. Let's do it. Basic, aren't you going live tomorrow? I am going live. With that said, Swami invited me on his live, so I might be going on his live. Depending on what time his ends, I might go live after the fact. But Swami, shout out Swami. There's gonna be a whole gang over on his channel. So yeah.
Pokey Snipe says, are you going on the happy hour tomorrow night? Yes, I will try to. Usually I don't make it till after my son falls asleep. But so I'm usually like an hour or two late if I do join.
Yeah, when Rattle rolled out those happy hours, I remember I showed up to the first, I don't know, half dozen, and it's just so hard because it's still in the same hour, and that's such a hard hour to show up at on a Saturday. I'm
Yeah.
usually out and about, so
You're an hour back too, so it's like what, 5 p.m., 6 p.m. for you?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so typically on a
pretty early.
Saturday, that time is like I'm at home, which is why like when I'm going live on a Saturday, it's always 9, 10 p.m. So yeah. But so other than Charlotte, is there another one that you're guaranteed going, or is Charlotte the only one?
My wife's due in June, man. We
Oh, that's
don't
true.
expect
That's right.
her to make it to her due date. So I
So what you're
know.
saying is Charlotte might be the last time we see PK out and about.
Oh no, Charlotte's good. We're good with Charlotte. I might
Well,
be
that's what I'm
driving
saying. But
down
after
with
Charlotte,
Phil.
that might be the last time we see you out and about. With two babies out there, they're gonna have eBay accounts already. You're gonna have
Listen,
to
you're gonna
manage
see
so
me
many eBay
vending. You're
accounts.
gonna see me vending because it's like close to $3,000 a month just in daycare costs we're paying. So you'll see me at some collecticons, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. 1,500
Well,
bucks a month per kid, man. That's $3,000 per month just in daycare. So you'll see me vending.
so
Pokemon's gonna have
Charlotte
to
is
be
in
paying some
September.
daycare.
I mean, do you already have inventory right now for September, or are you just gonna have to wait 2 months and then build up for that?
I got plenty.
But you don't know where the market's gonna go between now and September.
It doesn't matter. I got plenty.
Does it matter?
I got sandbox promos. I got SS or Scarlet and Violet 001 promos. I got
Okay.
base set stuff. I got Gym Heroes, Neo Genesis, Expedition, Aquapolis, Skyridge, all the Nintendos, Diamond and Pearl, Platinum, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, Black and White, XY, Sun and Moon, Sword and Shield. I got it all covered. It doesn't matter. You name it, I got it.
Dang, you just naming all those sets, you just made me want to rip a vintage pack. You're making me want to go.
Open your base set booster box, basic.
You're making me want to go in my closet and rip a vintage pack.
If you pull out a Tops pack, we're ending this live.
Ooh, should I? Oh, I could definitely do a Tops pack. I could. Let's hear from the chat. Don't forget PK. Forget PK. He's a Tops hater. If the chat wants a Tops pack opened, the original Tops pack, I'll open it. I'll pull one out right now.
Here, do you want me to make a poll?
Go ahead, make a poll. Raising kids is so unbelievably expensive. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Special delivery Charizards. Yeah, how many special delivery Charizards are you gonna have at Charlotte?
In 10s, 0, because as soon as I get 10s in, they go out. But 9s, I could hook you up with 9s.
Okay.
10s
I think I have a 9 Charizard. I think I was able to. I think via purchase, I got that Charizard. I graded it. Long Beach, actually, it was in the time frame of Long Beach. So whatever date Long Beach was, I made the purchase on Pokemon Center, and I got my pack literally the day I pulled out of my driveway, and I said, you know what? Should I just go to the mailbox? I went to the mailbox, pulled out the package, and I knew right there and then I got a freaking Charizard. I put the package back in my mailbox. I grabbed the card and I took it with me in hopes that for the right price, I would just sell it raw. But nobody wanted the price that I was pretty much essentially going for on eBay. I ended up grading it on my own. It got the 9. But I thought one of the plays was to grade it with AGS because it's such a quick turnaround on Friday, right? Because vendors get in on Friday. So if I give it to AGS on Friday and they give it to me Saturday morning and it's in a slab and catch a premium.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
No?
No.
Oh, man.
So Curtis got real aggressive. He said Topps Chrome. I said Topps movie. We're not about. I will not let Basic open a Topps Chrome pack. That is blasphemy. So we got 27 votes. 81% said yes. 19%
Oh, well,
said no.
As far as raw, or not raw, but packs go, I have Topps Series 1, 2, Pokemon movie. I believe I have Southern Island. So whatever the people want to see.
Are you sure?
Whatever the people want to see, I'll open it up.
I don't like people opening vintage stuff. Even though technically I have some of the best luck of people opening packs. Ooh. Mainly Dan Catch-em-all collectibles.
Okay, now I need to get my box because you're onto something. You're right.
I'll tell you what. So Dan Catch-em-all collectibles opened 2 packs. One, he opened the base set pack. It had the Charizard, obviously. Hit the 9. Listen, Dan Catch-em-all collectibles, if you're out there watching this, please crack that 9 and resubmit it. Why he hasn't pisses me off. But that's the cleanest 9 I've ever seen. Dan, your worst case scenario is you just hit another 9. Regrade it. And then he also did the Topps Chrome, and it had double Pikachus. Had a Spectra Pikachu and a regular Pikachu. Ended up selling the Spectra Pikachu for $1,000 and cleaned up. I don't even, it's like the regular Pikachu. I don't know what he graded, but
all right, let's see here.
Those are all Topps packs, basic.
No, this is they're all random. I don't even have it organized well. Let me see if I can pull out something spicy here. I do have Topps. I see Topps all over the place.
Do you have any Deoxys packs in there?
Deoxys? Let's see. I see Jungle. I see I see something spicy here.
Well, first ed. Look at you, basic. Is that a light pack or a heavy first edition pack?
I believe I have the weight. Yeah, I have the weights in the back. So the Charizard is a 21, and then the other two are 20.8 and 20.7.
So those are light. The 21 is a maybe.
Yeah, I have an H right next to it, but it's a maybe. So that's why I never opened it. But yeah, I have the art set. But as far as like
So all three of those are first edition base.
first edition, um, let's see, some random Furious Fist. I have Boundaries Crossed.
Yeah.
I have
yeah.
Dragons
Dragons
Exalted. Dragons Exalted. Let's see. This is the one. This is the one reason why I remember PokeRev. The one I remember him opening up his Neo Genesis, and they were fake.
Yep. Why? Because you had those, right?
Base at Jungle Fossil.
Yep.
But anyway, what we came for. Let's see.
Are you sure you want to do this? I don't like people opening vintage stuff. I'm just saying again.
It's tops. But we gotta open a heavy. So let's open a heavy. Let's go with the original one, heavy. Let's see if we can pull a Charizard.
Series 1.
Let's see if we can pull a Charizard. Here we go. Did the pull end or
end pull? 82%. Yes.
All right. Put them in the PSA sleeve too. Flicking Chrome. All right, let's do it. This is gonna get graded now because it was on PK's stream. It's funny how like I weighed and sleeved these like years ago before even the freaking boom. It's yeah. When you're in this, man, you're in this. Oh
yeah. I know how you feel.
It just ripped. It's official.
Oh, you broke
wait,
it.
it's the front. The one in the back is the hit, right?
Tops? Don't ask me about tops.
The one in the back is the hit, if I recall. The last time I opened, crap, I'm forgetting. No, the one in the front. Someone help me out. The one in the front is the actual hit. So if you put it in the back, you get to see the Pokemon regardless. So okay, so let's go backwards and let's see. Oh, they're sticking. Jesus.
Yeah, welcome to Series 1, man.
Oh, there you go.
There it is, Basic, your favorite
There you
Pokemon.
go. Aerodactyl, my favorite Pokemon. Let's see. So we got a Nidoran. We see Nidoran coming. Misty.
Nidoran. Oh my God, Basic, you're destroying us. Oh, Nidorino.
Nidoran. So we've got,
and then
I'm trying not to see because I'm gonna have to block the one in the back because otherwise I'll see it. So we got Nidoran. Oh no, I saw a hollow.
What do you mean?
Did I forget the trick? Okay, so now let's go. It's so hard with tops because you can see the front and the back. I think the next one's the hollow, so let's see what we get.
Zard. Do it.
Is that a hollow? It is a hollow.
Oh,
Alakazam.
Not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad.
That's a good hit.
I'll take it. I'll take it. And then we've got a PG. Oh
Pidgeotto.
no. Oh, it's just God. Charmander.
That's nice.
I'll take a Charmander. And we've got another puzzle piece with Gary.
Old Gary. Not bad.
So that's not bad. I'll take it. I mean, Alakazam is definitely a fan favorite. So
hell yeah. How does it look?
Like crap, like a top. Actually, you know what? This is better than the one that I just graded. Based on the one that I just graded an 8, this one has a shot at a 10.
Nice.
9 or 10 for sure. Let me sleeve this up right now. This is gonna get graded in the next batch.
Let me know where are you gonna send it?
Probably when the $15 drops again.
Yeah. I was gonna say you could send it through the washing machine.
Yeah, probably not. I would not have Ivy's luck. So there's the penny sleeve, and here's the card saver. Off to PSA on the next sub. Regardless of what he gets. At this point, it's just a memory. There you go.
There it is. Got the Ultra Pro sleeves too. Ultra Pro, those are the worst.
I mean, I could have gotten like a Caterpie or something, right? So I mean, the fact that I got an Alakazam.
Did you see Rev's thing he did? Or Was it? Oh no, I'm never mind. It wasn't tops.
When was the last time Rev opened up a Chrome?
Recently, like within the last 2 or 3 months, he opened up a whole booster box like through like 2 or 3 videos.
Anything crazy? I think I missed it then.
Nothing that he didn't pull the Zard or anything. Nothing that really stands out crazy.
No.
I think he has a lot of those cards up on his eBay right now. I don't follow him as much anymore, but I used to watch his, what he was selling once in a while.
Jane Doe, I appreciate you. And
What'd he
man, I
say?
mean, opening, listen, if you're gonna open, Tops is easy. Tops is not that huge of a deal. If you were to peer pressure me into the first edition, now we're talking reckless, but Tops is an easy rip. Tops is an easy rip.
I would never
Rip, you
let
can't
you
rip.
open a first edition pack on this
What's
stream.
that?
I would never let you open a first edition pack.
Well, first, how would you stop me? First of all.
I just end the stream. And then it would just be like, I would say, listen, Basic, it's just, you're going to be opening it for me. Is this what you really want to do? And hopefully the answer is no.
I remember, and I must admit, kids don't do this, but I had a little too many cherry and tequilas and cranberry and tequilas, and I was like, I had just enough pressure that if I just kept going for another freaking fraction of a pound per pressure, that Charizard pack would have split open. And this was during the boom to see if I could get a hollow from that first edition Charizard pack, but I was under the under. I was under. So yeah, don't do that, kids. Don't do that.
Don't do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I showed you this yesterday during the happy hour, but I cracked a bunch of these. The Chumley signed CGC cards.
So let me ask you. You got those from PWCC, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm just gonna challenge just a little bit here. So you cracked them obviously to put them not only in a PSA slab, but to hope to get a higher grade.
No.
No.
No card should be in a CGC slab anymore.
Okay. All right. So just get them out of a CGC and put them in a PSA slab. Okay.
No. Just put them in a card saver one.
Oh, okay. Not even. Okay. You didn't even want to grade. Okay. All right.
I'm gonna grade like the 9. So the Rhydon was a 9, and the Mischievous was a 9.5. So both these will get graded, but
Okay.
these will be binders.
So from a flipper standpoint, don't you think it's worth throwing up on eBay? See if you can fish for a good buyer for these cards because it does have a Chumley auto on it.
No, that's dumb. That's dumb.
Just a flat out no.
No, that's dumb.
Yeah.
Anybody buying CGC slabs is dumb. So no, don't do that.
Are
I'm the
you
one buying them. I'm
saying that you're
cracking.
turning down money as a flipper? Is that what you're saying?
Yep. Revoke the license.
Do the poll, Droop
You
says.
made
What
it 3
poll?
hours and 22 minutes into this live. That's how I feel.
I think he opened them and then did a graded return video. It's cool to see what you can get for a grade straight from packs. Chum cards everywhere. So wait, are these cards like straight from Chumley breaks? I mean, obviously they're from his, but obviously they're Chumley
Listen,
breaks. But are these his or are
I
these
have no clue.
people?
These were PWCC. Look, you can see like his signature. I have no
Yeah.
clue. They went super cheap. Just pick them up, crack them, get them out of the danger that is CGC, and just either burn them, destroy them, shred them.
See, I'm with Zard lurking here. PK, I love you, but you are crazy on this one. I have to agree with Zard lurking on this one.
No way.
Did you need them for the binder?
No, I have multiples of each.
So you just saw Chumley on the label and you said,
No,
we
I
got to
saw a
get these out.
CGC slab, and I see a CGC slab, and they got to be cracked.
Ah, it's the CGC slab. Gotcha.
That's why the back says Chumley Collection.
So folks, you heard it here first. If you have CGC slabs, put them on PWCC because PK will make you rich. PK will buy all of your CGC slabs just to release those Pokemons out of those slabs.
The best part is if you go back on my old lives, I was telling everybody, I was like, you should grade your cards with CGC until they fucked me over. And they really got me good, man. Do you know my crossover rate for personal cards graded with CGC is 100% 10 rates?
Really?
Yep. I have never crossed over a personal card that I've graded with CGC and hit a 9. I have a 100% crossover rate of 10s. Do you know how painful that is?
Wow. That's
Like,
crazy.
it sucks because I sent so many good cards of like CGC hoping for 10s because they were. And like I got them back and they were 9s, 8 5s, and I crossed not all of them, but like every single one that I've crossed over so far has hit a 10. You know, that sucks, man. Like I paid for subgrades on some of them, like $8. It was like $7.20 plus $5 for subgrades. I was into those cards for like $12. That's $12 that's gone. A lot of these cards I'm still sitting on that I can't do anything with. I
I
graded
mean, this
theme
was during
decks.
the
I graded
time.
theme decks. Skyridge theme decks. People asked me, these are cut from the same sheet. There were people in my comment section said,
I remember that.
PK, how do you know they're from the same sheet? And in my head, I'm just like, do you think at Wizard of the Coast there was some fucking Timmy out there hand sorting out theme decks? That's not how theme decks are made. They come off a sheet, they're printed off a sheet, they're non-hollows. There's nobody like saying, okay, this many cards go in a theme deck. These are $10 theme decks in 1999. Like nobody's hand sorting them. They came off sheets. They were all cut the same. I had cards cut off the same row and they gave them different centering grades. You can't do that. They were cut on the same cutter. Like you can put them up next to each other, identical, but yet the centering grades were different on the same card from the same sheet. Like there was so much preposterous shit that went on that I just lost it. And that's now where I am with CGC
And
because
it's
of that.
safe to assume that this is the same grader on top of that, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah, it's the same grader. So yeah, that's freaking
So
crazy.
you're
But
talking cards that came off. I mean, it's one thing for people to complain when you don't know what sheets they came off of. Mine all came off the same exact sheet because they were theme decks and they got different centering grades for cards that I know were next to each other. It's like, okay, whatever. What it's they're all make believe. Subgrades are make believe at CGC. Everything was a 9. And then I made those videos and then whatever.
who was it? I don't know if it was the Green Shiz. Someone recently this week rolled out a video. I think Slab podcast. Shout out Oak and Green Shiz podcast. They said that, and I may be wrong on the company. They said that CGC is the only one to have a decrease in percentage as far as submissions go. Like they're like minus 17%, while PSA and BGS they're still like, they're still north of whatever number they pulled out, but CGC is going down month by month. So yeah, CGC, it's a shame because CGC, I love the slab. I hate the color of the label.
Yep.
And one of my rants during my last live last weekend, I believe, was the whole thing how Beckett decided to freaking, restructure their grading scale. And that was just going to shit on so many freaking, existing collectors with these grades. But essentially what I said was, this is why PSA will always be king, is because PSA does not live in that 0.5 freaking world. CGC lives in that 0.5 world. Beckett lives in that
5.
0.5. Like, when have you seen a 9 point or a 9, BGS? How often versus a 9.5 or an 8.5? CGC, same thing. How many 9s versus 8.5s or 9.5s? It's ridiculous. And then that to me as a collector is such an off-putting grade. Like, just give me the 9, or you know what I mean? Like, there's something about the 0.5 that I just hate, and that's the reason why PSA will always be king, because PSA does not play that 0.5 game.
Yep. All those right there. They mock me.
all of those that PK pre-graded to make sure that he gets 8.5s. Walmart label. What's going on, Civic?
This mocks me.
That just goes to show that you're a good pre-grader. You're very good at pre-grading. The fact that you got all 8.5s, you're a great pre-grader.
Yep. It mocked me.
Man, this is so nostalgic.
Oh yeah.
So nostalgic, Jesus. I love tops.
It's too bad you didn't get the Niddle King or the Niddle Queen too. They just
I believe I pulled the Needle King back in Dallas Collecticon. I took quite a few heavies. I don't know how many heavies I got because I literally was buying them when they were like 40 cents, 50 cents. And I have like a whole box full of just, all of these things. I mean, to be honest, okay, you want to hear how much I got the first edition trio?
the first edition base. How much?
$125.
For the 3? Holy shit, basic.
That long ago. Again, when I got the base set, first edition was going for 2,500. So again, you catch one of these freaking, whatever auctions ending at whatever time that no one's looking, in a time that no one cares about Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how it goes, man. But I mean, eventually I'm gonna have to get rid of them or just pass over, and then my daughters will flip it to PK on a yard sale for 5K for everything, because they don't know what they've got. That PK is gonna be right there swooping.
Yeah. All right, basic. I think this is one of my longest lives ever. I am like falling asleep right now. All right. All right. So this is the last one. Listen, once again, if you made it to the end of this live, which we are at 3 hours and 30 minutes, and you are not subscribed to Basic Trainer, you're messing up. Our goal is to get Basic Trainer to 1,000 subscribers within the next 7 days. I hope my followers can somehow make that happen. Give Basic support. He pulled the Alakazam. Listen, guys, I know I could speak for myself. I know I could speak for Basic Trainer on this one. Guys, listen, we appreciate every single one of you guys. If it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't be doing this live. Me and Basic would still be talking, but listen, we enjoy this. We enjoy every single one of you guys. Honestly, you guys are what makes this hobby fun for us. And if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be doing this. But with that said, again, as always, we appreciate every single one of you, and we'll catch you on the next video. Basics, you have any final words?
Bro, we do this. We live, we breathe freaking Pokemon. Probably you more than anyone in this hobby, but I appreciate you for bringing me on. You know that I'm always at the ready, and I'm always appreciative. And the fact that you're actually plugging my channel, that's pretty freaking dope. I appreciate you, dude.
All right, man. As always, guys, we'll catch you on the next video.